Chapter 760, Below Empress, 3/5. A vermilion bird pattern flickered between Guan Shuqing's brows. Feng Luan took over the body. In an instant, the dignified empress of the transcendent world was stunned. She had been cultivating since birth, becoming empress at the age of 15 and empress at the age of 30. She had been imposing all her life. There was not a single man in the entire continent who was worthy of her. Moreover, Feng Luan, who had a cold personality, a noble body, and a suffocating majesty, had no romantic feelings at all. In the entire continent, there weren't many men who dared to look her in the eye. The majesty of the empress made all the men feel ashamed in front of her. But now, she was actually lying under a man, and it was a man who was as weak as an ant in his eyes. This caused a hint of coldness and killing intent to flash across Feng Luan's eyes. The pressure of the empress slowly gathered. "Pa, baby, come up, hey." However, at this moment, a frivolous voice was heard. Following that, the man moved violently. In an instant, the empress's dignity was drowned out. Her face was extremely red. However, this feeling made her. For a moment, Feng Luan's expression changed drastically. Wang Xian didn't know that Shu Qing, who was under him, had already been occupied by another soul. He was prepared to release the pain of missing her for more than a year. 5 minutes later, Feng Luan's thoughts were drowned out. She closed her eyes tightly. 1 hour, 2 hours. Finally, the two of them laid on the bed. Wang Xian was in a very happy mood. "Shu Qing, you have no idea. I have missed you so much over the past year. Today, you are finally awake." Wang Xian stretched out his hand and hugged Guan Shuqing. Suddenly, he frowned slightly. The Guan Shuqing in front of him suddenly gave her a very unfamiliar feeling. The flames flickering between her brows gave her a special kind of dignity. Looking at her eyes, Wang Xian was shocked. His expression changed drastically. "You are not Shuqing." Feng Luan's expression changed when she heard Wang Xian's words. She had no idea how to talk to the man in front of her. She frowned. "Who exactly are you?" Wang Xian's expression was extremely awkward. He stared at her and asked, "I am that drop of vermilion bird essence blood." Feng Luan's expression darkened. "Where is Shu Qing? What did you do to her?" Wang Xian's expression changed drastically. He revealed a cold expression. "Xiao Xian, Xiao Xian." Suddenly, the flame between her eyebrows disappeared slowly and Guan Shuqing's panicked voice was heard. Wang Xian was stunned and he was a little stunned. Looking at her eyes, he knew that it was Guan Shuqing this time. "Shu Qing, are you all right?" he asked hurriedly. "Xiao Xian, there seems to be another person in my body. Just now, when we were together, I suddenly returned to my body and another soul took over my body," Guan Shuqing said to Wang Xian in panic. When Wang Xian heard her words, his scalp went numb. "Shu Qing, can you contact her?" Wang Xian said with an embarrassed expression. Anyone who had an additional soul in their body would be horrified. "She is the soul from the vermilion bird essence blood that you absorbed back then. See if you can contact her," Wang Xian said to Guan Shuqing with a solemn face. "Contact." Guan Shuqing took a deep breath when she heard Wang Xian's words. She closed her eyes and tried to contact her. Wang Xian felt a little uncomfortable when he saw Guan Shuqing's eyebrows trembling non-stop. There was actually a wisp of soul in the vermilion bird's blood essence. This was something that he didn't expect. Phew. After a few minutes, Guan Shuqing suddenly heaved a sigh of relief and opened her eyes. "How is it?" "I've contacted Xiao Xian. She said that her name is Feng Luan, the Empress of the Phoenix dynasty in the Transcendence continent. During the Nirvana, she was attacked and injured. A drop of her essence blood escaped and was absorbed by me. After that, she became like this. She also said that she would be able to reconstruct her physical body when she becomes stronger in the future." As Guan Shuqing spoke, her expression kept changing. Then, Wang Xian's expression changed. He took a deep breath and asked, "Who is in control of your physical body now?" "I'm not sure. Sometimes, it might be me and sometimes, it might be her. But now, we can sense what is happening outside." Guan Shuqing said with a bad expression. Is she sure that she can reconstruct her physical body just because she's strong? Wang Xian frowned and asked. She said that she can. As long as she has a drop of blood essence and sufficient energy, she can be reborn. Guan Shuqing nodded. Damn it. Luckily, she's a woman. If she's a man, I have to think of a way to kill her. Wang Xian's expression softened a little. As long as she was a woman and didn't endanger Guan Shuqing's life, it would be easy to solve the problem. If it was a man, then Wang Xian was really fucked up. In a situation like the one just now, he suddenly changed his soul. If it was a man, that would be so satisfying. Guan Shuqing's expression was also a little strange. She naturally knew what happened just now. Sigh, I didn't expect there to be such a problem. Shuqing, don't worry. I will solve it for you as soon as possible. Wang Xian shook his head and sighed. Xiao Xian, I feel that I'm very strong now. Guan Shuqing nodded. Although she had an additional soul in her body, it wasn't harmful at all. She heaved a sigh of relief. Go to sleep. Rest well. Wang Xian kissed Guan Shuqing and held her in his arms. Guan Shuqing also hugged her slowly. Get lost. However, at this moment, a cold and dignified voice was heard. Wang Xian instantly felt a strong force pushing towards him. Fuck. Wang Xian couldn't help but curse. He stared at Guan Shuqing with an embarrassed expression. At this moment, a flame appeared between Guan Shuqing's eyebrows again. The aura on her body had completely changed. Her eyes were filled with dignity as she stared at Wang Xian without any emotion. This is my wife's body. Wang Xian's expression was awkward. Get out. Feng Luan waved her arm and a flame appeared. She grabbed Wang Xian's arm and threw him out of the bed. Wang Xian's expression changed instantly. His body was thrown out without any resistance. Upper level immortal. Wang Xian's face was extremely embarrassed. The strength that Shu Qing had displayed just now was at most a middle-level immortal. However, this woman was able to unleash the strength of an upper-level immortal. Flame Gate. Feng Luan waved her arm and the surroundings of the bed were instantly surrounded by flames, forming a curtain-like object. Fuck. When Wang Xian saw this scene, his face instantly turned black. Feng Luan, who was lying on the bed, was breathing rapidly. She slowly closed her eyes. Wang Xian stood outside without any clothes. He looked at her helplessly and realized that he was no match for her. Shaking his head, he waved his arm and a wooden bed appeared. He laid on it helplessly. Xiao Xian. However, a familiar voice suddenly came from the bed in the middle of the night. Wang Xian immediately got up, got into bed, and hugged Guan Shuqing. Upon seeing this scene, Guan Shuqing couldn't help but smile. Chapter 761, Mighty Empress, 4/5. In one night, Wang Xian was thrown out twice. This made him extremely embarrassed. Fortunately, it was Shu Qing who took over his body in the morning. She walked out of the room with Wang Xian happily. This place is so beautiful. When they arrived at the courtyard, Guan Shuqing looked around happily and exclaimed in surprise. This is the natural gate of immortality. During the year that you slept, the 9 cauldrons world has already appeared. The area that we are in is the Tang Cauldron. Wang Xian explained to Guan Shuqing. Celestial sect. It's really like a fairyland. Guan Shuqing raised her head and looked at her surroundings. There were all kinds of plants around her and she looked very beautiful. Dragon King, your breakfast. At this moment, Fairy Flower's voice came from outside the door. Chinem, come in. Wang Xian replied to her. Fairy Flower was holding some spirit fruits and vegetables that contained spiritual energy in her hands as she walked into the courtyard. He was stunned when he saw Guan Shuqing. She was dressed in fiery red clothes, had an exquisite face, and had a smile on her face. She was a beauty that was not inferior to him. In fact, Flower Fairy felt that her temperament was far superior to his. It's here. Flower Fairy placed her breakfast on the stone table at the side. She glanced at Wang Xian and Guan Shuqing and said, Dragon King, our sect leader will bring you to the herb garden to have a look and discuss the matter of cooperation. Okay. Wang Xian nodded. I'll be there soon. All right. Fairy Flower took her leave and Wang Xian and Shuqing ate breakfast together. During the meal, Wang Xian briefly told Shuqing about the current world. This made her open her mouth slightly and a surprised expression appeared on her face. After breakfast, Wang Xian went straight to the place where the Queen of Flowers was staying. Dragon King, my wife has woken up. It seems that the wood spirit fruit is quite useful. The Flower Queen looked at Guan Shuqing and said in surprise. Yes, thank you. No need. Dragon King, you have cured us of Changshu. To our immortal sect, a few grade 8 spirit fruits can't compare to you. The Flower Queen shook her head. Let's go, Dragon King. I'll bring you to the herb garden to take a look. All right. Wang Xian nodded his head and followed the Flower Queen into the herb garden. When he arrived at the herb garden of the natural-born celestial sect, he was slightly stunned. This was the largest herb garden he had ever seen. In the entire herb garden, there were at least tens of thousands of different types of spiritual herbs. Apart from spiritual herbs, there were also spiritual trees. It was not an exaggeration to say that the value of these herb gardens was simply immeasurable. As expected of the natural celestial sect that has the most spiritual herbs among all the celestial sects. It is no wonder that the 4 celestial immortals from the Holy Doctor Celestial Sect and Holy Medicine Celestial Sect came here personally. Wang Xian looked at this herb garden with a slight sigh. If the entire herb garden belonged to him and was refined into a medicinal pill, he might be able to complete the first change in the divine dragon realm directly. For a moment, he even had the urge to rob. Haha, Dragon King, this is just our ordinary herb garden. The place where the grade 7 and grade 8 spiritual herbs are planted is in a different location. The Supreme Elder of the Innate Immortal Sect, Elder Mu, said with a face full of pride. This was the accumulation of their sect for 1,000 years. Looks like I will need a branch that can serve the evergreen tree before I leave. Wang Xian thought to himself. He walked to the side and swept his gaze across the spiritual herbs. Elder Mu, how many spiritual herbs do you plan to take out? 2/3. We need to keep some for emergencies. The rest will be used to refine pills. Elder Mu looked at Wang Xian. Even if it's 2/3, it's still a considerable amount. How long will it take for the Dragon King to refine it? Very soon. The corners of Wang Xian's mouth curled up slightly. He waved his arm and 25 grade 5 spiritual herbs flew into his hand instantly. He smiled at Elder Mu and the rest. Wang Xian spread out his hands and a water curtain appeared in front of him. Following that, the spiritual herbs melted rapidly. He stared at the drops of liquid with his sharp eyes and quickly assembled and condensed them. Condense. With a wave of his arm, 5 grade 5 medicinal pills appeared in front of him instantly. The entire process took less than 2 minutes. Elder Mu, Hua Hu, and the other 3 celestials by the side opened their mouths slightly. Shock was written all over their faces. Amazing, amazing. It will take at least 20 minutes for the old man Peony from the True Martial Immortal Academy to refine a level 5 medicinal pill. Furthermore, it might not even be 100% success rate. Even with the help of the alchemy furnace from the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect, they don't have such a fast speed and success rate. Elder Mu looked at Wang Xian and said with a sigh. Although the Innate Immortal Sect had more spiritual herbs, they couldn't refine medicinal pills. Even if they were to find someone else to refine them, they wouldn't be as insane as Wang Xian. The few immortals from the natural-born immortal sect looked at each other and decided that they would befriend this Dragon King in the future. Chempate. At this moment, a soft snort came from the side. A slender and fair palm waved forward and spiritual herbs flew over. The spiritual herbs that flew over turned into liquid under the encirclement of the flames. The pair of slender and fair arms rippled slightly. The spiritual liquid condensed into medicinal pills and fell into the palm. Elder Mu was stunned. The Queen of Flowers was stunned. The other 3 celestials were also stunned. Even Wang Xian was staring at the medicinal pills in his hand with his mouth agape. Grade 6 medicinal pills, 5 grade 6 medicinal pills. From the moment he took them out to the moment they fell into his hand, the entire process had turned into medicinal pills. Just now, Wang Xian was still acting pretentious as he refined a grade 5 medicinal pill in less than 2 minutes with his water refining technique. Now, Guan Shuqing, no, she should be a woman named Feng Luan. She refined a grade 6 medicinal pill in less than half a minute. It was obvious who was superior and who was inferior. It was as though she had completely defeated Wang Xian. This caused his expression to turn slightly ugly. He knew that this woman was deliberately provoking him. This. Your wife's alchemy skills are so strong. She can actually refine pills so quickly without using an alchemy furnace. Elder Mu looked at the pill in Guan Shuqing's hand with a face full of shock, feeling somewhat incredulous. In addition to her terrifying alchemy skills, Elder Mu felt a powerful flame energy from the moment she made her move. This energy made him feel apprehensive. A middle-level immortal was at least a middle-level immortal, and it was possible that he was a superior-level immortal. This made Elder Mu slightly shocked. No wonder he was not afraid of the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect and the Holy Doctor Immortal Sect at all. Just their strength alone was enough for him to not be afraid of them. Hehe, it's fine. Wang Xian looked at the flame flickering between his brows and the majestic Feng Luan. He smiled awkwardly. Dragon King, we have complete confidence in your strength. I believe that our cooperation will definitely be able to monopolize the entire elixir market. Elder Mu said to Wang Xian with a smile. Don't worry. Wang Xian nodded his head and looked at the majestic Feng Luan beside him. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly. He was just thinking that it would be troublesome if he were to refine so many elixirs on his own. Now it seemed that there were laborious. Chapter 762, Mysterious Sea, 5/5. Your alchemy skills are amazing. Walking out of the herb garden, Wang Xian looked at Feng Luan, who was emitting a flame from her glabella, and said softly, to US vermilion birds, alchemy is a piece of cake. Feng Luan said to Wang Xian coldly and arrogantly. Wang Xian possessed the water of origin and the fire of origin. In the world, the vermilion bird was the king of flames. Even if it was a fire-attributed divine dragon, its control of flames was slightly inferior to that of the vermilion bird. Therefore, even without an alchemy furnace, Feng Luan was able to refine level 6 pills at a terrifying speed. Of course, this was also largely due to her expertise in alchemy. Well, since you can refine pills so quickly, can you help me refine pills? Consider it as a reward for occupying my wife's body. The reason why you are able to wake up now is mainly because of us. Without us, you would still be a drop of blood essence. Help me refine some pills as a form of repayment to us, Wang Xian said to Feng Luan shamelessly. This caused Feng Luan to frown slightly. Just as Wang Xian said, if it weren't for them, she wouldn't know when she would be able to revive. As a prideful empress, she didn't like to owe others favors. Sure, I'll treat it as a repayment. After hesitating for a while, she nodded her head slowly. All right. Wang Xian narrowed his eyes and revealed a faint smile on his face. With such a perverted alchemy master, it won't be long before all the spiritual herbs from the natural-born celestial sect can be refined into pills. Wang Xian thought to himself. With a thought, he suddenly asked, do you know how to refine weapons? Yes. Feng Luan nodded her head expressionlessly. Can I refine a level 13 spiritual weapon, one that is engraved with an array formation? Wang Xian asked with anticipation. I can even refine a weapon at the return to void level, let alone an extraordinary weapon. Feng Luan looked at Wang Xian proudly. However, she felt that she had gone too far. With my current strength, I can only forge some simple weapons that can inscribe arrays. Return to void stage. Extraordinary? Wang Xian silently memorized the realm that Feng Luan mentioned. This reminded him of the star attraction disc. The star attraction disc was also an item of the extraordinary stage. This transcendence should be a realm above his current level. It was also the realm that he attained after completing the first transformation of the divine dragon transformation. As for the return to void, it might be the realm after transcendence. Can you tell me about the method to inscribe the array formation? Wang Xian rubbed his hands and said to Feng Luan. Inscribing the array formation and refining a level 13 spirit weapon was what Wang Xian had been looking forward to all this while. However, he couldn't find any secret manuals to inscribe an array. Simple. She nodded her head coldly and didn't say anything else. Wang Xian looked at her helplessly. This empress of the so-called extraordinary continent had a very cold and arrogant character. She didn't even want to bother with him. She was as cold as ice. This was a Tsunda empress. After returning to the courtyard, Wang Xian stayed there for the next few days. Wang Xian stayed in the natural-born celestial sect to refine elixirs every day. When Feng Luan took over his body, he also helped to refine elixirs. The speed of the two of them was extremely fast. In just 3 to 4 days, they had already refined half of the spiritual herbs in the natural-born celestial sect. With the communication between Guan Shuqing and Feng Luan, Wang Xian finally succeeded in inscribing the array formation. According to Feng Luan, the array formation on a weapon could not be called an array formation. Instead, it was called an inscription formation. It was similar to an array formation, but it was completely different. It was not difficult for Wang Xian to forge weapons. Even if it was to inscribe runes, with the help of the system, it was still very fast. Regarding the shop of the crafting workshop, Mo Qinglong had already purchased it in the cities under the 20 Gates of Immortality. It would not be long before it could officially open for business. Before Wang Xian opened for business, he was preparing to conduct a huge publicity. He was preparing to hold an auction on the floating island. There would be a few grade 13 spirit weapons and some grade 7 or even grade 8 elixirs being auctioned there. He believed that the immortals and gods would also be attracted here. At that time, the Divine Dragon Refining Workshop would also become famous. It would also be a good choice to be a merchant quietly in the future. Eldest senior brother and the others are preparing to go to the mysterious sea tomorrow. Are you going or not? Yes, of course I'm going. The mysterious sea is connected to the underground sea, and there are countless powerful undersea creatures living there. Hunting powerful undersea creatures can be sold for a lot of spirit stones. Spirit stones are secondary. If we are lucky enough to encounter the earth starfish, we will be rich. On the 5th day, Wang Xian took the time to take a break to stroll around the natural-born celestial sect with Guan Shuqing. They heard the conversation of the natural-born celestial sect disciples. "Oh right, Xiao Xian, do you want to go to the mysterious sea to take a look? I heard there are many treasures there." Guan Shuqing heard the discussion at the side and said to Wang Xian, "The mysterious sea? What is that place?" Wang Xian asked curiously. "You don't even know about it? I've been sleeping for so long and you still don't know about it?" Guan Shuqing rolled her eyes at him. The mysterious sea is an inland lake in the area of Jiding. However, it has an area of 100 kilometers. Hence, it is also known as the sea. It is said that this inland sea is connected to the underground sea. The depth of the water is extremely deep and there are many creatures and treasures in it. There are many things about the mysterious sea on the Jianghu website these few days. There is a type of terrestrial starfish that can increase one's lifespan after eating. It is very expensive. Is that so? Terrestrial starfish can increase one's lifespan. This is a fatal temptation for anyone. Wang Xian was slightly stunned. He really did not know about the mysterious sea. He had been refining pills and weapons for the past few days and did not pay attention to the things on the Jianghu website. An earth starfish that could increase one's lifespan was comparable to a miracle drug to humans. However, it did not have much of an attraction to Wang Xian. As long as he did not die, his lifespan was almost endless. Connect to the underground sea? However, Wang Xian was filled with curiosity about the underground sea. According to current scientific research, there was an underground sea on Earth. Moreover, the seawater was comparable to the surface. This was also unexpected. There was a huge space on Earth. This space might not be as large as the surface of the sea, but it was definitely comparable to the surface. It was unknown if there were any living things in the underground sea. However, water was the source of life. The possibility of having living things was very high. Wang Xian took out his phone and looked at Jiding's area. It's near Tang Yinchuan's house. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows and hesitated for a moment. A powerful aquatic creature that could increase one's lifespan was indeed attractive to him. This type of fish that could increase one's lifespan might not be useful to him, but if he could catch it, he could sell it at a high price. Why don't we go over and take a look? Wang Xian looked at Guan Shuqing and asked hesitantly. Sure, I want to take a look at what's happening outside as well. Guan Shuqing nodded her head with interest. All right, the concoction of the elixir is almost done. Let's go over and take a look. Chapter 763, Powerful sound waves attracted the fish, 1/5. Elder Mu, who, will take our leave first. After asking for a section of the uniform Chang Shu from the natural-born celestial sect, Wang Xian said goodbye to Elder Mu and the rest. Dragon King, are you ready to go back? If the shop opens, we'll go and support it. Elder Mu said with a smile. I'm preparing to go to the mysterious sea. When the shop officially opens, I'll definitely invite all of you. Wang Xian smiled and nodded at them. There were some problems with the shop. This morning, Mo Qinglong called to report to him. After his investigation, it was best for the shop not to be built in a city below the Gate of Immortality but in a real city. This was because the city below the Gate of Immortality belonged to the territory of the Gate of Immortality. There were two advantages to it. One was that there was a 100% guarantee of safety and there was more traffic. However, there was also a drawback. If there was a conflict with the Gate of Immortality, the shop would be eliminated without any ability to resist. Therefore, the question now was whether to place the shop in the city under the Gate of Immortality or in the real world. Wang Xian hesitated for a moment and agreed with Mo Qinglong's decision. The city under the Gate of Immortality would be destroyed if anything happened. Even the elixirs might be taken away by the Gate of Immortality. However, if it was in the real world, whoever dared to cause trouble would be screwed. The mysterious sea. Some of our senior and junior brothers and sisters from the Celestial sect are planning to go there today. When Flower Fairy heard that Wang Xian was going to the mysterious sea, her eyes lit up slightly. Oh, is that so? If it's on the way, let's go together, Wang Xian said with a smile on his face. All right. Flower Fairy nodded happily. You're not being honest. I heard that there's a Tang Yinxian now. Why? Is there another Flower Fairy now? Now that the 8 cauldrons have appeared in the world and there's an ultimate beauty chart, are you going to cover all the ultimate beauty charts? At this moment, Shu Qing's voice rang beside his ear. Following that, Wang Xian felt the muscles on his waist trembling. Ahem, how can that be? I definitely don't have any intentions. Wang Xian shook his head bitterly. He was indeed not interested in the other beauties at the moment. He was already satisfied with Shu Qing, Lan Qingyu, and the other girls. If I believe in you, even a sow can climb a tree. Guan Shu Qing rolled her eyes at him. Heaven and earth can witness it. Let's go. Wang Xian said helplessly as he turned around and spoke to Flower Fairy. Yes. Flower Fairy nodded immediately and immediately informed her fellow disciples. Dragon King. A group of natural-born celestial sect disciples greeted Wang Xian respectfully when they saw him. Among them was the eldest senior brother of natural-born celestial sect, who was also the strongest disciple. He was in his 40s and possessed the strength of the infant stage. The rest of the disciples were at least in the Dan stage. There were more than 30 of them in total. They were filled with respect for the Dragon King in front of them. In the past, they did not know about the Dragon King of the Dragon sect and had never heard of him. In the past few days, the natural-born celestial sect had also carried out a mission for Wang Xian. This investigation naturally cleared up all of Wang Xian's past and experiences. A middle-level immortal in his 20s. This made many people feel incredulous. In addition to his means and strength in the martial arts world, they were filled with awe towards this king who had emerged from the martial arts world. Why are there so many people? Wang Xian swept his gaze across them and asked with slight curiosity. Reporting to Dragon King, it's mainly for the earth starfish. A small earth starfish can increase one's lifespan by 3 to 5 years. It can be comparable to a grade 6 elixir. Now, Many people have gathered in the mysterious sea. The eldest senior brother of the natural-born celestial sect said respectfully. Okay. Wang Xian nodded. Items that could increase one's lifespan were very precious to martial artists. In fact, to many people, lifespan was priceless. The appearance of such fish in the mysterious sea would naturally attract all martial artists in the martial arts world. Dragon King, take the airship of our natural-born celestial sect. Flower Fairy said to Wang Xian. All right. Wang Xian nodded his head. An airship was a type of flying device created by the puppet celestial sect. Its speed was even faster than an airplane and was comparable to the flying speed of an infant stage powerhouse. An airship could carry a few hundred people. Almost all the celestial sects would purchase airships from the puppet celestial sect. Following that, they came to an open space. An airship that was more than 10 meters in size and 7 to 8 meters in width was located in the middle. Martial arts is really magical. The appearance of the Eight Cauldron world has changed the world a lot. Wang Xian looked at the airship that only existed in novels with a slight sigh. Ignorant. A slightly disdainful voice came from the side. Wang Xian turned his head and looked at Guan Shuqing, who was emitting flames between her brows. He shook his head slowly. Not only did this phoenix take over his wife's body, she also had a rather bad temper. It was just that she and Shu Qing would exercise for 1 or 2 hours every night. Sometimes, her soul would come out. Who asked you to take over Shu Qing's body? And the Empress? Didn't she enjoy it back then? Wang Xian looked at her with a strange expression. He didn't know what the so-called Empress really looked like. The airship took off. There was a disciple driving in front of them. They flew quickly toward the mysterious sea. The mysterious sea was located in Jiding's territory, and Jiding had 3 immortal sects. Ji Clan, Thunder Clan, and Wind Smoke Immortal Sect. The Wind Smoke Immortal Sect was the one that attracted the most attention. It was an immortal sect that was made up entirely of women. Cheng Qingcheng, who was ranked first on the list of top beauties, was the most outstanding disciple of the Wind Smoke Immortal Sect. We're here. The mysterious sea is in front of us. At present, the mysterious sea has been occupied by the disciples of the immortal sect. The airship arrived at the bottom of the mysterious sea, and a dark blue and somewhat black seabed appeared in their line of sight. Black was not the color of water, but the color of an abyss. It was said that the mysterious sea was connected to the underground sea, and its depth could reach tens of thousands of meters or even hundreds of thousands of meters. It was a real abyss. Because of the bottomless abyss, the water looked black. In the mysterious sea, there were some unique aquatic plants that made the entire sea look very strange. Wang Xian contacted Tang Yinxian in advance. Dragon King. The airship had just stopped in an empty space when a draconid who was protecting Tang Yinxian rushed over and shouted at Wang Xian. Chmem, where is Tang Yinxian? Wang Xian asked him. Miss Tang is conducting an experiment. Miss Tang said that you should head over as soon as possible, the draconid said to Wang Xian. Experiment? Let's go and take a look. Wang Xian revealed a curious expression. He took a glance at Feng Luan, who was still occupying her physical body. After informing the people from the innate immortal sect, he flew towards the mysterious sea. The disciples from the innate immortal sect did not follow him. Instead, they flew towards the other direction of the mysterious sea. Chapter 764, Strong Sound Waves to Attract Fish, 2/5. Ring, ring, ring. Before he got close, Wang Xian heard a series of unique sounds. The sounds were very strange and had a special attraction. Sound of the soul? Feng Luan's surprised voice flashed across her eyes as she looked ahead. At this moment, Wang Xian, Feng Luan, and the draconid were flying on the surface of the ocean like an abyss as they looked into the distance. A beautiful green figure was standing on the peculiar aquatic plants on the surface of the sea. A beautiful zither was floating in front of her. The sound came from the zither. Wang Xian was also looking at Tang Yinxian curiously. Compared to the previous zither sound, her current zither sound was much more unpleasant. It was even a little off-key. Yinxian. Wang Xian flew over and shouted at Tang Yinxian. He looked around and realized that the Draconid was not around. Wang Xian. Tang Yinxian smiled when she saw Wang Xian coming over. She took a glance at Feng Luan and greeted with a smile, "Shuqing, you're awake." However, Feng Luan was in control of her physical body now. She ignored Tang Yinxian and looked at her curiously. This caused Tang Yinxian to be slightly stunned. "Yinxian, why are you playing the zither here? Where are the other Draconids?" Wang Xian looked at him curiously and asked. "I'm doing an experiment." Tang Yinxian moved and came to Wang Xian's side. She pointed at a fish that was tied up. "This is an Earthstar fish that we caught. It's tied up with a rope. Look." As she spoke, she stared at the zither in front of her with both hands. Ring, ring, ring. A very special sound was heard. Following that, the Earthstar fish swam towards her rapidly. Wang Xian was slightly stunned as he stared at the Earthstar fish that was wagging its tail. Half of its body was khaki and the other half was green. There was a bump on its head, and it was also khaki and green in color. Voice of the soul, longevity fish. The flames at the corner of Feng Luan's eyes throbbed. Her eyes were filled with flames as she stared at the ocean abyss beneath her. A thoughtful look appeared on her face. "What are you doing?" "Attracting." Wang Xian revealed a look of surprise as he said to Tang Yinxian. "Yes, attracting. Through some communication with it, I can use sound waves to attract it over. If the experiment is completed, I can use sound waves to attract the Earthstar fish over." Tang Yinxuan's eyes lit up as she said, "Through this method, we will be able to obtain many Earthstar fish. However, the current attraction is still a little off. I can only be certain when the Draconids catch another Earthstar fish." When Wang Xian heard her words, he looked at Tang Yinxian in astonishment. "If we succeed, how many Earthstar fish will we be able to attract?" "Within a radius of 10 kilometers, with my cultivation, I can at most cover a radius of 10 kilometers. Tang Yinxian hesitated for a moment before replying. "A radius of 10 kilometers is completely enough. If we succeed, we can capture more than half of the Earthstar fish in the entire mysterious ocean." Wang Xian's face lit up. The value of an Earthstar fish was comparable to a grade 6 elixir. If there were hundreds or thousands of them, it would definitely be a terrifying income. If he exchanged them for elixirs, he could easily become a superior immortal. "Dragon King, Miss Tang, we've caught an Earthstar fish." At this moment, Draconids emerged from the bottom of the sea. One of them held an Earthstar fish in his hand and said, "We've finally caught the second one. It's really difficult to catch only 2 in 3 days." A smile appeared on Tang Yinxuan's face. She took out a rope from her interspatial ring and tied it up. This Earthstar fish was only the size of a palm, and it contained a very strong life force. The Earthstar fish had an extremely fast speed in the water, and it was very small. It was very difficult to catch it. If not for the fact that the 10 Draconids were all at the infant stage and had the divine dragon bloodline, it would be considered pretty good if they could catch one. The mysterious sea was too big and too deep. Moreover, there were some powerful creatures in the water, and some of them were comparable to the infant stage. "There are 2 Earthstar fish here. I can ensure that I can attract them over. However, I need to test it out for a while." Tang Yinxian continued to speak to Wang Xian. She took out the zither and began to test it out. Wang Xian watched from the side with a smile. If this was successful, it would be considered a considerable profit. "I want to go to the bottom of the sea to take a look." At this moment, the voice of Feng Luan suddenly came from the side. Wang Xian looked at her and frowned slightly. "Why are you going to the bottom of the sea?" "These fish are called longevity fish. There are such fish in the Sea of Longevity in our superdeveloped continent." Feng Luan said something that puzzled Wang Xian. "You discovered my blood essence in this world. It's possible that there is some connection between the 2 worlds. I want to go and take a look." As Feng Luan spoke, her body moved and she flew directly to the bottom of the sea. "You." Wang Xian's expression changed slightly. His body moved and he grabbed her body. He stared at her coldly and said, "This is not your body." Feng Luan was stunned when she saw Wang Xian grabbing her arm. "Don't worry. Nothing will happen. There are no transcendents in your world. No one can keep me here. This is very important to me. Wang Xian heard the helplessness in her eyes and his heart softened. He stared at her with a twinkle in his eyes. You have to come up in half an hour. Otherwise, I will think of a way to suppress the fire energy in Shu Qing's body in the future. All right. Feng Luan frowned slightly and nodded. Wang Xian let go of her arm and nodded at her. She moved and flew directly to the bottom of the sea at a terrifying speed. Is there a connection with her world? Wang Xian frowned slightly. If there was a connection with the supernatural world she mentioned, he might have to step into that world in the future. Ring, ring, ring. It's a success, it's a success. Just as he was thinking, Tang Yinxuan's happy voice came from the side. Wang Xian looked over and noticed that Tang Yinxian was moving while playing the zither. The earth starfish had been following by her side as if they were attracted by a strong force. Do you want to give it a try now? Wang Xian moved to Tang Yinxuan's side and said to her. Sure. Tang Yinxian nodded her head heavily and looked at the surrounding draconids. All of you enter the water and observe the area within a 5-kilometer radius. See if there are any earth starfish swimming over. Yes. The group of draconids nodded their heads and entered the bottom of the sea. Phew. Tang Yinxian took a deep breath and glanced at Wang Xian. Give it a try. I'll stand guard by the side for you. Wang Xian said with a smile. Okay. Tang Yinxian nodded her head and placed her hands on the zither. A special sound rang out. There was a special rhythm to the sound. When it landed on the water, it emitted waves that spread out in the surrounding. Chapter 765 Tang Yinxuan's Pursuer, 1/5. Ring, 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 ring. One after another, sounds were heard. This special sound could be heard within a radius of 10 kilometers. Wang Xian didn't know what talent Tang Yinxian had obtained from the dolphins, but this special sound wave was extraordinary. His eyes were flashing with red and blue light as he looked at the surrounding seabed. With his current eyesight, he could penetrate a distance of dozens of kilometers without the obstruction of powerful energy. As his gaze swept across the area, he could see clearly for dozens of kilometers. Hey! It's here. It's really here. At this moment, a hint of surprise flashed across Wang Xian's eyes. In his vision, a palm-sized earth starfish was swimming over. 1, 2, 3. Wang Xian scanned his surroundings and looked at the earth starfish one by one. This was simply robbing money. Hey! Someone is following us. Suddenly, Wang Xian frowned slightly and looked at the dozen or so people following behind an earth starfish. There are 3 of them. I can sense them. Tang Yinxian revealed a happy expression on her face. Yes, they are here. The speed of the earth starfish was very fast. In less than 10 seconds, they had already appeared 100 meters in front of them. Wang Xian waved his arm and the seawater immediately wrapped around the earth starfish and held it in his hand. That's great. Tang Yinxian revealed a smile on her face and the sound of the zither stopped. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, more than 10 human figures emerged from the bottom of the sea. A group of middle-aged young men looked at Wang Xian. When they saw the 3 earth starfish in his hands, they were slightly stunned. Miss Tang. However, very soon, a young man standing in the middle greeted Tang Yinxian, who was standing at the side with some pleasant surprise. Yes. Tang Yinxuan's gaze swept across the crowd. She frowned slightly and nodded her head slowly. Our young clan leader has been searching for Miss Tang Yinxian with great difficulty. I didn't expect Miss Tang to be here. The other young men exchanged glances and said to Tang Yinxian with a smile. I have something to do here. I hope I won't be disturbed. Tang Yinxian said with an indifferent expression. Oh! The group of young men looked at Tang Yinxian. Their eyes swept past Wang Xian and narrowed slightly. Since that's the case, we shall not disturb you anymore. As the group of young men spoke, their eyes flickered as they flew to the side. Tang Yinxian frowned and looked at Wang Xian. Wang Xian, I will attract the attention of others by using sound waves to attract the earth starfish. It's fine. Wang Xian shook his head and looked at the group of young men who had left. Do you know them? They are from the Thunder Clan. My family is relatively close to Ji Ding's world. After Ji Ding appeared, the Thunder Clan sought out my father for the development of the real world. Now that my father has joined the Thunder Clan, he is helping to manage some businesses in the real world. Tang Yinxian explained to Wang Xian, the young leader of the Thunder Clan has been pestering me for the past 2 days. He is a very annoying person. Is that so? That's because you're too beautiful, Yinxian. Wang Xian smiled. With Tang Yinxuan's looks, she was not inferior to Flower Fairy at all. She was not inferior to the beauties of the immortal sect. It was very normal for her to be pursued. Then does our Dragon King also think that I'm pretty? Tang Yinxian suddenly asked Wang Xian. However, she seemed to be a little straightforward as she quickly continued, let's continue. Okay. Wang Xian smiled at Tang Yinxian. Miss Tang is here. Let's report to the young clan leader. There's actually a man beside him. I wonder what his relationship is with her. No matter who that young man is, he is far from our young clan leader. Oh right, they caught 3 Earthstar fish just now. It's a little strange. It's very strange. We chased after that Earthstar fish and actually took the initiative to run towards them. Oh right, there's also a very strange sound. The dozen or so young men who had left stopped on the surface of the sea and looked behind them as they said in a slightly contemplative tone. First, tell the young clan leader about Tang Yinxuan's situation here. This Tang Yinxian is really beautiful. She actually caught our young clan leader's eye. This Tang Yinxian isn't simple either. She's very strong and the people around her are also terrifying experts. If it weren't for them, our young clan leader would have long made his move. Hey, this voice is coming again. Let's go and report to our young clan leader. The group of over a dozen people flew into the distance. It's coming again. This time, there are more. It's 4. On the other side, Tang Yinxian was playing the zither with a face full of joy as she spoke to Wang Xian. Looks like we will be able to reap a lot. A smile appeared on Wang Xian's face. Yinxian, your sound waves are really powerful. Hee hee. Tang Yinxian smiled happily. However, she raised her eyebrows and said, there are people following us from the bottom of the sea. They are flying towards us. It's all right. I will get the Draconids to block the people below who are trying to intercept the Earthstar fish. Wang Xian shook his head nonchalantly. Splash. 4 Earthstar fish appeared. Wang Xian waved his arm and 4 water energy palms grabbed them. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, 2 figures flew out from the water and saw Wang Xian holding 4 Earthstar fish. Their eyes lit up as they looked at Tang Yinxian and Wang Xian. One of the terrestrial starfish is one that we have been chasing for a long time. Hehe, this handsome guy, can you return it to us? The 2 of them were girls. They were wearing sky blue clothes that looked like fish scales. They looked very beautiful. The 2 of them were about 30 years old. Their eyes were sparkling as they stared at the terrestrial starfish in Wang Xian's hands. Sorry, we caught it. Wang Xian swept his gaze across the 2 of them and shook his head coldly. Don't be so stingy. You've already caught 4 of them. If you don't stop them, they belong to us. A girl walked forward slowly and said to Wang Xian. Get out of here. Tang Yinxian, who was at the side, placed her arm on the zither and waved it slightly. Instantly, a water wall was erected in front of the girl. Her. The girl raised her eyebrows, and with a wave of her arm, she slapped towards the wall of water. Boom. However, Tang Yinxuan's hand on the zither rippled slightly, and the girl's body stiffened, and the wall of water crashed towards her. The powerful force caused her body to retreat more than 10 meters, and she was supported by another girl. You. The 2's expressions changed drastically. Leave this place. Tang Yinxian looked at them and said calmly. This is our Fengyang immortal sect's territory. A hint of anger appeared on their faces, and they stared at Tang Yinxian. Tang Yinxian looked at them coldly, and slowly placed her hand on the zither. You little girl, just you wait. The 2's expressions were somewhat awkward, and their chests heaved up and down as they glared at Tang Yinxian. They looked at each other, and then left. Chapter 766, Young Clan Leader of the Thunder Clan, 2/5. The Earth Starfish is very difficult to catch. How could they catch 4 of them directly? Moreover, it seems that the Earth Starfish swam towards them on its own initiative. Did you hear that strange sound just now? It should have been attracted by the sound. I really didn't expect that our immortal sect hadn't found a way to attract the earth starfish for thousands of years, and it was actually found by someone else. That little girl is very strong. Report this to senior sister and the rest. The 2 female disciples of the Fengyang celestial sect flew towards the celestial sect with an embarrassed expression. Looks like she is destined to attract a lot of attention. Tang Yinxian smiled at Wang Xian when she saw the 2 female disciples of the Fengyang celestial sect leaving. It's all right. We are here to capture us. Don't bother about the others. Wang Xian shook his head nonchalantly. All right. Tang Yinxian nodded her head. She knew Wang Xian's strength and influence. Naturally, she wouldn't be worried. On the beach in the east of the mysterious sea, there was only one small town near the sea that was relatively lively. Basically, all the martial artists who entered the mysterious sea had to pass by this place. Even Wang Xian, who was riding on the airship of the natural-born celestial sect, had to land near this place. Boom! A rumbling sound was suddenly heard. The terrifying thunder beast, which was emitting lightning, landed heavily on the beach. The thunder beast was about 3 meters in size. It had a single horn on its head and its body was emitting a terrifying aura. On top of the thunder beast, a young man was sitting on it. The young man had a towering horn on his head and his eyes were like torches. The white-blue glow on his body was flickering with lightning. Beside him, there was a lightning spear hanging. His entire person was like a god from the myths. Young clan leader, Miss Tang is in the mysterious sea. Beside the young man with the lightning beast, there were more than 10 young men beside him as they spoke to him. Ian, no wonder I couldn't find her. So she's in the mysterious sea. Hehe, you can't escape from my palm. The corners of the young man's mouth curled up slightly, and an intense confidence appeared on his face. Young clan leader. A young man hesitated for a moment before continuing. Young clan leader, there's another young man beside Miss Tang. Ian. Crackle crackle. The young man's gaze turned slightly cold, and the sound of thunder and lightning came from his body. He wasn't angry, but he was imposing. A young man. Good, good. I want to see who dares to snatch a beauty from me. What qualifications does he have to compete with me? The young man raised his head slightly, his eyes revealing a cold expression. With a slight movement of his legs, the thunder beast directly soared towards the direction of the mysterious sea. Not far away, the crowd looked at the young man with reverence in their eyes. Some disciples from other immortal sects also stared at the young man's back with solemn expressions. In the pugilistic world, there were supreme beauties and there were also Heaven's chosen rankings. The Heaven's Pride roll didn't have a specific ranking for the time being. Those on it were all the most outstanding disciples of the 20 immortal sects. There were 20 people in total. Among them, the young clan leader of the Thunder Clan was on the Heaven's Pride roll. However, in the other seat, a group of disciples from the Wind Smoke Immortal sect also flew into the mysterious sea. In the center seat was an extremely beautiful woman whose dress was at least 2 to 3 meters long. There was a red dot between the woman's brows. Her entire body emitted a transcendent aura. Someone actually managed to attract the terrestrial starfish through a special method. How interesting. A smile appeared on the woman's face. This smile was like a blossoming flower that could topple a nation. This is already the 4th wave of people that we chased away. The special sound waves were able to attract the terrestrial starfish to swim over. Although the mysterious sea was very large, it covered a radius of 100 miles. However, it was not huge for the strong ones, especially since Tang Yinchuan's sound waves could cover a circumference of 10 kilometers. After chasing away more than a dozen people who had come over, Tang Yinxian continued with a little helplessness. It might not be long before the entire mysterious sea knows that we can capture the terrestrial starfish through special method. It's all right, let's continue. Wang Xian smiled and shook his head. He looked at the 2 terrestrial starfish in his hands and said, let's cook one at night to taste it. Cook? You're really extravagant. This terrestrial starfish is equivalent to a grade 6 medicinal pill. Tang Yinxian looked at him with a smile. Wang Xian also smiled. If he were to consume this terrestrial starfish, he would only be able to absorb 70,000 to 80,000 dragon energy. To him, this was a drop in the bucket. Clap, clap, clap. At this moment, the sound of heavy hooves could be heard. Hey! Tang Yinxian was about to play the guqin when she heard the sound. She immediately turned her head and saw the thunder beasts that were charging towards them. Her expression was a little ugly. What's wrong? Do you know them? Wang Xian turned his head and asked Tang Yinxian. Yes, the young chief of the Thunder Clan. That annoying fellow. Tang Yinxian nodded. Miss Tang, I've been looking for you for so long. The thunder beast arrived at a spot 10 meters in front of Tang Yinxian at a terrifying speed. The young man sitting on it looked at Tang Yinxian with a warm smile on his face. I'm not familiar with the young clan leader of the Thunder Clan. Why are you looking for me? Tang Yinxian looked at the young man and the people beside him and said calmly. Naturally, it's to pursue the lady and make Miss Tang my person, haha. The young man laughed loudly and said without any concealment in his words. He stared at Tang Yinxian as if he regarded her as his own private property. Young clan leader Lei is such an insolent person, it's really annoying. Tang Yinxian also said coldly. Haha, insolent. Only those who have the ability are qualified to be insolent. Miss Tang is so outstanding, a man who is worthy of the lady, there's no one else but me. The young man did not show the slightest bit of anger when he heard Tang Yinxuan's words. He looked at her with a face full of confidence and arrogance. Hey, I didn't expect young clan leader Lei to be here. At this moment, a light voice came from not far away. More than 20 women were like fairies in the ocean, flying towards them in a light dance. City-toppling beauty. Young clan leader Lei narrowed his eyes slightly and looked at the people behind him. Why are the beauties from the Wind Smoke Immortal sect here? Aren't you here for that? Cheng Ching Cheng, whose skirt was half a meter long, said lightly with a smile on her face. That? You mean? The young man's eyes sparkled. The matter of the Earth Star fish. Cheng Ching Cheng shifted her gaze away from the young man and landed on Wang Xian and Tang Yinxian. A hint of surprise flashed across her eyes. Our Fengyang Celestial sect, the Thunder Clan, and the Ji Clan have not found a way to attract the Earth Starfish for 1,000 years. I didn't expect this lady to actually find a way. It's just a small trick. Tang Yinxian looked at Cheng Ching Cheng and the others in surprise and said calmly. Since it's a small trick, can you tell us about it? We'll give you some benefits. Cheng Ching Cheng continued to speak to Tang Yinxian with a smile on her face. Other than me, no one else can learn it. A hint of confidence appeared on Tang Yinxuan's face. Chapter 767, Old Friend, 3/5. It's right here, a girl and a young man. They actually used a special method to catch the ground starfish. There are people blocking us at the bottom of the sea. Those people are all strong, much stronger than us. Just as Cheng Ching Cheng was staring at Tang Yinxian, sounds of discussion came from the surroundings. More than a dozen people from the south were flying over here. There were also people from the east and north who were flying towards this direction. Some of the warriors were exuding a powerful aura as they stared at this direction with sharp gazes. Miss, tell us that our Wind Smoke Immortal sect can stop the others. Otherwise, you guys will be in big trouble. Cheng Ching Cheng smiled as she glanced at the group of people who were rushing towards this direction. She was still smiling as she looked at Tang Yinxian. Haha, Cheng Ching Cheng, Miss Tang Yinxian is a member of our Thunder Clan, so, don't even think about it. The young man who was riding on the Thunder Beast revealed a bright smile as he said loudly to Cheng Ching Cheng. Is that so? Cheng Ching Cheng frowned slightly. It's them. It's that beauty. The special sound she plays can attract the Earth Starfish. If we get the method, as long as we get the method to attract the Earth Starfish, we'll be rich. The dozens of people around stared at Tang Yinxian, who was in the center, and said loudly, Hey! That's the disciple of the Thunder Clan and the Wind Smoke Immortal sect. Hiss, that's the young clan leader of the Thunder Clan and Cheng Ching Cheng. Cheng Ching Cheng, she's Cheng Ching Cheng, so beautiful. No wonder she's the #1 beauty on the Peerless Beauty chart. She's like a princess of the immortal world. The group of people who came were slightly shocked when they saw the people from the Thunder Clan and the Wind Smoke Immortal sect. Their eyes landed on the young clan leader of the Thunder Clan and Cheng Ching Cheng as they exclaimed in amazement. Haha, of course. Miss Tang's father is a member of our Thunder clan, and she's also someone I've taken a fancy to. The young man on the Thunder Beast laughed loudly as he spoke, his face filled with intense confidence. Young clan leader Lei, I'm not a member of your Thunder clan. Be careful with your words. Tang Yinchuan's expression was a little cold when she heard the young man's words. Hihi, it seems that this beauty completely ignores young clan leader Lei. What a heartless woman. When Cheng Qingcheng heard Tang Yinchuan's words, she looked at the young man with a smile on her face. In my opinion, Miss Tang's beauty is not inferior to the beauties on the ultimate beauty chart. The only ones who can match her are naturally us heaven's favorite. When the young man heard Tang Yinxian warning him in front of so many people, his expression turned slightly ugly. He looked at Wang Xian, who was beside Tang Yinxian, and said, "This kid is not worthy of her and is not qualified to compete with me." When Wang Xian saw the young man looking at him and heard his words, he smiled faintly and looked at him with a smile on his face. This lady's beauty is enough to be on the ultimate beauty chart. Furthermore, her strength is not weak. My two junior sisters were easily repelled. Furthermore, she possesses the skills to attract the earth starfish. It is true that an unknown person is not worthy of her and cannot be compared to the young chief of the Lei family. However, although the young chief of the Lei family is outstanding, others may not like him. Cheng Qingcheng's eyes contained a trace of mockery as she looked at the young man and said. The surrounding martial artists who came forward didn't dare to interfere when they saw them conversing. They silently stood to the side, not daring to make any moves. Regardless of whether it was the Thunder Clan's young clan leader or the Wind Smoke Immortal sect's Cheng Qingcheng and the others, there was a huge gap between them. Looking at the girl in front of them, everyone revealed a look of surprise. She was indeed very beautiful, not inferior to the beauties on the unrivaled beauty chart at all. No wonder young clan leader Lei pursued her so much. Perhaps only such an outstanding heaven's chosen could be matched with such a beauty. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Someone's coming again. At this moment, the sound of flying could be heard again from behind. Everyone turned their heads to look. It's that person from the innate immortal sect. Look, that's Flower Fairy. Flower Fairy, I didn't expect Flower Fairy to come as well. The number 1 beauty, City Toppling Beauty, and the number 3 beauty, Flower Fairy. We're quite lucky today. Hey! That's the elite disciples of Eternal Glory Cauldron. They're here too. Core disciples. The ones who came this time aren't elite disciples like us, but the core disciples of other immortal sects. They're not afraid of the Thunder Clan or the Wind Smoke Immortal sect at all. There are many people participating now. Let's see if we can fish in troubled waters. Otherwise, it has nothing to do with us. The crowd looked at the 70 to 80 people who had rushed over with a surprised expression. Oh! The young man on the Thunder Beast and Cheng Qingcheng also looked around. When he saw the crowd who had rushed over this time, a trace of solemnity appeared on his face. Every core disciple of an immortal sect was an existence that could not be underestimated, especially those famous heaven chosen. Flower Fairy, Wood Spirit River, Wandering Snow, Hong Tianda, Yin Feng Wen. When the disciples of the Thunder Clan and the Wind Smoke Immortal sect saw the powerful auras of the Immortal sect's disciples rushing over, they cried out one name after another. There are actually 3 core disciples of the Immortal sect here. Each one of them is a heaven's chosen, and there are also beauties on the Peerless Beauty chart. Everyone in the surroundings looked on in surprise. Cheng Qingcheng's eyes flickered as she looked at Flower Fairy and Wandering Snow. Flower Fairy was ranked 3rd, and Wandering Snow was ranked 5th. The top 5 beauties on the Peerless Beauty chart of the pugilistic world all had the strength of the infant realm, and each of the 5 had their own merits. It would be impossible for the 1st place to surpass the 2nd and 3rd place. Facing 2 powerful opponents at once, Cheng Qingcheng put away her casual attitude. The young man on the Thunder Beast also put away his arrogance and looked at the other 3 heaven's favorites. The 3 core disciples of the Immortal sect flew toward them. The group of Immortal sect disciples occupied a spot and looked at the young clan leader of the Thunder Clan and city-toppling beauty of the Fengyang Immortal sect. Hey, it's the Dragon King? Fairy Flower looked at Wang Xian, who was standing next to an unfamiliar girl in the middle. A hint of surprise appeared on her face. She looked at the girl and could not help but be slightly stunned. She felt a little jealous. It's the Dragon King. Beside Flower Fairy, Mu Lingchuan, the eldest senior brother of the natural-born celestial sect, was also slightly stunned. Flower Fairy nodded and walked straight towards Wang Xian. She smiled and said, "Dragon King." The voice of Flower Fairy rang out from the surroundings, causing everyone to be stunned. They quickly looked at Wang Xian, who was beside Tang Yinxian. "It's him. I didn't expect it to be him." When Piaro Linxue and Hong Tianda saw Wang Xian, they were stunned as well. They looked at each other in shock. Piaro Linxue looked at Wang Xian with a complicated expression. She felt that it was unbelievable. The pill weapon grandmaster with terrifying talent whom she met more than a year ago was actually from the real world. Furthermore, he had single-handedly killed a group of infant stage powerhouses during the competition. He was a celestial being who stood proudly in front of Yongchang. Chapter 768 was shocked, 4/5. The day of the grand competition of the Yongchang disciples was a gloomy day for the many heavens chosen disciples in the Yongchang world. When the Dragon King made his move, the heavens chosen were gloomy. Even his subordinate had the terrifying strength to crush all the heavens chosen. Especially the power of the immortals and gods that they unleashed in the end, which shook the entire Yongchang world. When the Dragon King and his men left the Yongchang world and the Yongchang world appeared, the Immortal sect had investigated the news of the Dragon King of the martial arts world. The results of the investigation shocked them. However, as there was no news of the Dragon King in the past year, the Yongchang world gradually forgot about the Dragon King. They did not expect to meet the Dragon King who was casting clouds and rain in their world. Dragon King. Piaro Lingxue hesitated for a moment before calling out to Wang Xian and walking over. Speaking of which, her relationship with this Dragon King was pretty good. The Immortal sect also knew the reason for the Dragon King's massacre before he left. Speaking of which, regardless of whether it was the Great Hong Immortal sect, the Yongchang Immortal sect or the Immortal Slaying sect, they did not have much enmity with the Dragon King. Flower Fairy addressed him as the Dragon King. Piaro Linxue addressed him as the Dragon King. The two of them walked towards the young man. Everyone was stunned when they saw two of the top 5 beauties walking towards the young man. Even the young man on top of the city-toppling beauty and the Thunder Beast had a look of astonishment on his face. "Dragon King! Dragon King!" Mu Lingchuan immediately shouted and walked towards Wang Xian. When Hong Tianda saw Wandering Snow walking over, he also called out respectfully and walked towards Wang Xian. "Dragon King!" Yin Fengwen also called out respectfully and walked over. He was not from the Yongchang world, nor was he from the innate Immortal sect. Instead, he was from the Puppet Immortal sect. There was no need to mention the disciples of the Puppet Immortal sect and the Ming Wang Immortal sect. Many of the disciples of the Ming Wang Immortal sect were killed, and the immortal gods of the Immortal sect went to take revenge. In the end, all the disciples of the Immortal sect received the news that it was forbidden to offend the Dragon King. When he thought of this, Yin Fengwen felt his heart palpitate. The Dragon King was definitely not someone that a disciple like him could offend, even if he was the most outstanding disciple of the Puppet Immortal sect and one of the heaven's favorites in the Jianghu. When he met the Dragon King, he still had to greet him properly. Hiss. Seeing this scene, everyone around sucked in a breath of cold air. What was going on? Why were the top beauties on the beauty chart greeting the seemingly ordinary young man one by one? Especially the group of people who had just arrived, they looked at him in shock. Just now, the young clan leader of the Thunder Clan said that the young man wasn't qualified to be compared to him. Cheng Qingcheng also said that the young man was an unknown person and was inferior to the young clan leader of the Thunder Clan. This, what's going on now? 2 peerless beauties went to greet him, and the 3 heavens chosen walked over. From the looks of it, they were all very respectful. A few disciples from the Immortal sects looked at this scene in astonishment and started to discuss. Dragon King? The young clan leader of the Thunder Clan and Cheng Qingcheng's expression darkened when they heard the discussion around them. Their eyes were sparkling as they stared at the young man whom they had overlooked. Dragon King, Wang Xian nodded at Fairy Centaurea and Mu Lingchuan, who were walking over. He looked at Piaro Lingxue and Hong Tianda. Long time no see. Wang Xian said to them indifferently. Long time no see. Piaro Lingxue sized up Wang Xian and nodded with a smile. No way. According to the description on the Ultimate Beauty chart, the reason why Cheng Qingcheng was ranked first was because she loved to smile. Her smile could topple cities, and she was ranked first on the Ultimate Beauty chart. As for Flower Fairy, she has the scent of 100 flowers blooming. She's so quiet that she's like the most beautiful flower in the world. As for Wandering Snow, she's as white as snow and as cold as snow. The two of them should be relatively high and mighty beauties. But now, they actually look so. This is so wrong. It's completely different from the description. Why do I have the illusion that Flower Fairy seems to like that young man? When the crowd saw the two goddesses looking at the young man with smiles on their faces, they could not help but swallow their saliva in disbelief. The young clan leader of the Thunder Clan and Cheng Qingcheng also looked on in shock. Who was that young man? He actually caused Flower Fairy and Wandering Snow to treat him in such a manner. When Tang Yinxian saw the two beauties who suddenly appeared, she raised her eyebrows and pursed her lips slightly. Dragon King, did you guys find a way to attract the terrestrial starfish? Flower Fairy asked Wang Xian with a twinkle in her eyes. Yes. Wang Xian nodded his head. A friend of mine found a way to attract the terrestrial starfish. It's just that it's a little loud and will attract the attention of others. No matter how loud it is, unless someone is looking for trouble, some of the commotion is not a problem. To be able to find a way to attract the terrestrial starfish, it's really amazing. Wang Xian smiled and looked around. He said in a deep voice, "We are using a special method to attract the earth starfish. Everyone, don't disturb us. Otherwise, you will have to bear the consequences." Cheng Qingcheng's expression changed when she heard Wang Xian's words. A method to attract the earth starfish was very important to the Fengyang celestial sect. Otherwise, she wouldn't have come here personally. Now, she was actually warning them not to disturb her. This made her face turn slightly ugly. However, when she saw the few heaven's favorites and beauties around him, her face turned even uglier. This young man whom she didn't even look at earlier, who even said bluntly that the young man was inferior to the young clan leader of the Thunder Clan, was actually surrounded by beautiful heaven's favorites. This was simply a slap in the face to what she had just said. And you, don't come and disturb Yinxian in the future. Don't be so arrogant in front of me. I'll give you a warning. Wang Xian's gaze landed on the Thunder Beast young man and warned him lightly. This caused the Thunder Beast young man's expression to change. He looked extremely gloomy and dark. Young master, we want to obtain the method to attract the earth starfish. We are willing to pay some price in exchange. Cheng Qingcheng looked at Wang Xian and said with a twinkle in her eyes. I'm not interested. Wang Xian looked at her and shook his head coldly. This made Cheng Qingcheng's expression turn ugly. No matter what, she was the #1 beauty in the Peerless Beauty chart. To think that she would be rejected so coldly by a young man. This made her look ugly. No one else has the right to tell me what I, Lei Mingyuan, do. The young man on the Thunder Beast said as he stared at Wang Xian with a dark expression and a twinkle in his eyes. He did not have much scruples about this mysterious Dragon King. This place was very close to their celestial sect. The mysterious sea also belonged to their territory. Therefore, even though this young man was very mysterious, he was not afraid at all. Boom! Just as the young man finished his sentence, a terrifying power that caused one's heart to palpitate suddenly came from the bottom of the sea. Bang! Suddenly, a 10-meter-large creature was thrown up. Chapter 769, The Outcome of Finger-Pointing. Bang! A gigantic creature suddenly appeared on the surface of the sea in front of Wang Xian. Everyone was slightly stunned as they looked at the creature that had been killed. This. All of a sudden, the pupils of Cheng Qingcheng, the young chief of the Thunder Clan, and the people from the Fengyang Celestial Sect could not help but constrict. A look of horror appeared on their faces. Water-traced horned beast, it's a water-traced horned beast. The scalps of the two people from the Immortal Sect turned numb as they stared at this gigantic creature with shock on their faces. Roar! The thunder beast that the young clan leader of the Thunder Clan sat on lay on the ground and growled in fear. Even though this creature had already been killed, its terrifying pressure still caused the thunder beast to tremble, and its eyes were filled with fear. Voila! Soon after, under everyone's shocked gazes, a red-clothed woman drilled out from the bottom of the sea. A flame danced between the woman's brows, and a faint flame flashed past her body. She had a perfect appearance, and her body had an imposing aura that seemed to rule the world. This aura was extremely dense, as if a goddess from the 9 heavens had descended upon the mortal world. Especially the flame between her eyebrows. It was filled with majesty, as if it was her third eye. It was completely incomparable to the red dot that was placed between her eyebrows with an item. The flame between the eyebrows of the lady flickered and gradually disappeared. Phew! Guan Shuqing controlled her physical body once again. She looked at Wang Xian with a smile on her face. The instant pressure turned into an instant smile. This change in temperament made everyone's heart flutter. Xiao Xian. Guan Shuqing looked at Wang Xian and walked over with a smile. She held his arm and glanced at the newly appeared Pro Linxue. Chimem, are you all right? Wang Xian looked at Guan Shuqing and asked her. I'm fine. Look, I even killed a creature in the water. Its strength has reached the level of an immortal god. Guan Shuqing pointed at the monster's corpse and said with a smile. Okay. Wang Xian nodded his head. When Feng Luan possessed a physical body, she could unleash the terrifying strength of a superior immortal. Killing an ordinary immortal god was a piece of cake. Hiss. However, Guan Shuqing and Wang Xian's words made everyone around them gasp. This was especially so for the people from the Fengyang Celestial Sect and the Thunder Clan. Initially, they were still uncertain. Now that they heard it with their own ears, they widened their eyes. They knew that the lowest water-traced horned beast had the terrifying strength of a half-step immortal god. From the terrifying pressure of this water-traced horned beast, they guessed that it was most likely an immortal god-level existence. However, they didn't dare to be certain, nor did they dare to believe it. Now that they heard it with their own ears, they couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. To be able to kill an immortal-level water-traced horned beast, he must be at least a middle-level immortal. A middle-level immortal. This was a middle-level immortal. That girl was a middle-level immortal. This made everyone dumbfounded. However, what was the strength of the young man who was being held by that girl? An immortal-level creature. In the surroundings, the other disciples of the immortal sect let out low roars. Their eyes were filled with fear and fear. Wang Xian looked at the water-striped horned beast. With a wave of his arm, he stored it directly into his interspatial ring. He slowly raised his head and looked at the young man on the thunder beast. In an instant, the young chief of the Thunder Clan felt his scalp tingling. He looked at Wang Xian with an embarrassed expression and felt a little nervous. The surrounding people also looked over hurriedly. Just now, this mysterious young man asked the young chief of the Thunder Clan not to pester the girl beside him. In the end, the young chief of the Thunder Clan said that he didn't have the right to criticize him, and now, a goddess who was a middle-level immortal was leaning against the young man's side. In addition to the group of heaven's favorites and beauties who looked respectful, there was a high possibility that he was an immortal god. Talking to an immortal god like that was simply courting death. Under everyone's gaze, the young clan leader of the Thunder Clan was a little nervous. Especially under the gaze of Wang Xian, his heart was beating violently. It's forbidden for an immortal-level powerhouse to make a move. Furthermore, this is Jiding's territory. He gritted his teeth and stared at Wang Xian as he said in embarrassment. When the surrounding people saw the young clan leader of the Thunder Clan holding on, they also silently thought that he had a backbone. Just as he said, it was forbidden for an immortal-level powerhouse to make a move, especially since this was the Thunder Clan's territory, Jiding's territory. The young clan leader of the Thunder Clan was the most outstanding disciple of the current generation of the Thunder Clan. Even if he didn't provoke the immortal wouldn't be able to do anything to him. Wang Xian looked at him and smiled. Ripples appeared under his feet. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, a group of draconids who had been at the bottom of the sea moved and emerged from the bottom of the sea. There were 10 draconids and 10 infant stage powerhouses. The moment they appeared, the young clan leader of the Thunder Clan's expression changed drastically. "What are you trying to do?" He stared at Wang Xian and shouted loudly. "Are you trying to tell me what to do? Then let's kill them all." Wang Xian looked at the young clan leader of the Thunder Clan and said coldly. When everyone around heard Wang Xian's words, their expressions changed slightly. Even though the immortals forbade them from making a move, it didn't mean that his subordinates couldn't make a move. These 10 infant stage powerhouses were enough to put the Thunder Clan in a desperate situation. However, at this moment, just as everyone thought that the 10 experts who had crawled out from the bottom of the sea were about to make a move, a figure emitting white light suddenly appeared behind the young clan leader of the Thunder Clan. 4 rays of white light flashed across the figure's body, and a terrifying force heavily landed on the Thunder Beast. Roar, roar, roar. The Thunder Beast let out a miserable cry, its huge body slowly lying on the surface of the water, sinking downwards. The Thunder Clan's young clan leader, who was on the Thunder Beast, also fell towards the bottom of the sea with a face full of fear. Young clan leader. The expressions of the surrounding Thunder Clan disciples changed drastically, and they hurriedly picked up the Thunder Clan's young clan leader's body. This. If you don't seek death, you won't die. It's true. You dare to be so arrogant to an immortal god, and you even said that you don't have the right to criticize him. After that, you didn't apologize. Now that your limbs have been chopped off, your life is over. You have guts, but you provoked an immortal god first. If you don't apologize, you're courting death. Having your limbs chopped off, I reckon that the Thunder Clan wouldn't care about this matter. Hehe, I've always heard that the young clan leader of the Thunder Clan is extremely arrogant. Today, he knows the consequences of being arrogant. When the surrounding crowd saw young clan leader Lei's 4 limbs being chopped off, they revealed gloating expressions. Riding on the Thunder Beast, they looked down on everyone with an air of superiority. In the beginning, they had said that the Lord Immortal God did not have the qualifications to compete with him. Now, with a flick of his finger, he could cripple your 4 limbs. This was the consequence of being arrogant. When the Thunder Clan disciples saw the dumbstruck and despairing young clan leader Lei's expression, they were also extremely embarrassed. However, they didn't dare to say anything. They didn't even dare to say that they wanted revenge. In fact, after the Thunder Clan found out about this matter, there was a very high chance that they would just let it go. This was because the girl beside him was a middle-level immortal, and that young man was very likely a middle-level immortal, or even higher. Chapter 770, Invitation Letter from the Xian Yuan Clan. My lord, we shall take our leave. The group of Thunder Clan disciples cupped their fists at Wang Xian. With an embarrassed expression, they carried the young clan leader of the Thunder Clan and left into the distance. When they saw this scene, everyone around them sighed. My lord, I'm sorry. I was rude just now. Please forgive me if I have offended you. At this moment, Cheng, who was watching the scene from the side, turned slightly pale. She quickly apologized to Wang Xian. We are here to catch Earthstar fish. Everyone, don't come and disturb us. Otherwise, the one just now will be your end. Wang Xian ignored Cheng. He scanned the surroundings and warned her faintly. Yes. We will definitely not disturb you. We will leave this place now. Everyone around nodded their heads respectfully. Wang Xian nodded his head slowly. The surrounding disciples of the celestial sect left immediately. Dragon King, we will take our leave too. Flower Fairy, Piaro Linxue, and the rest hesitated for a moment before taking their leave. Please pass these spirit weapons and elixirs to Master Yu. Tell him that we didn't have the time to take our leave last time. Wang Xian moved his arm and passed 5 level 12 spirit tools and 10 level 7 elixirs to Piaro Linxue. All right, we promise to deliver them. Piaro Linxue nodded and left with the spirit tools and elixirs. Hong Tianda, Yin Fengwen, and the rest also bowed and followed closely behind. All right, no one will disturb us now, Wang Xian said to Tang Yinxian with a smile on his face. Then the world will be ours next. Tang Yinxian walked to the side excitedly and said to Wang Xian. Wang Xian nodded and said, let's continue. What? Yinxian can use a special method to attract earth starfish? Xu Qing asked curiously. Wang Xian nodded and said, yes, I plan to use this method to capture the fish for a few days. What is the phoenix looking for down there? I didn't find anything. The bottom is connected to the underground sea. It's bottomless. I flew at the fastest speed for more than 10 minutes, but I still couldn't see the bottom. Furthermore, the interior is extremely vast and dark. It's like an abyss. Guan Shuqing said, Sister Feng Luan wants to find the way back to her world. She said that the spiritual energy here is too thin. Okay. Wang Xian nodded his head and looked pensive. In the next few days, Wang Xian, Guan Shuqing, and Tang Yinxian had been catching earthstar fish in the mysterious sea. As for the matter of someone using a special method to attract earthstar fish, it became a hot topic in the area of Jiding and the other cauldrons. Especially in the area of Jiding, everyone knew that there was a young immortal who brought along the wife of at least a middle-level immortal, as well as a beautiful lady and her subordinates to catch earthstar fish in the mysterious sea using a special method. In fact, the young clan leader of the Thunder clan had offended the immortal god back then and had his limbs chopped off by his subordinates. Cheng Qing Cheng had apologized to him in person. This matter involved the immortal god, the young clan leader of the Thunder clan, and the number one beauty, Cheng Qing Cheng. It immediately caused a huge sensation on Jiding. In the end, the Dragon King of the Dragon Gate, who was once the overlord of the Jianghu and was now a terrifying existence at the immortal god level, was dug out by someone. The result shocked all the immortal sects. At present, 20 immortal sects were standing in the Jianghu, and the 20 immortal sects occupied a territory. Now, a force that was comparable to the immortal sects suddenly appeared, instantly attracting the attention of all the immortal sects. The Dragon King of the Dragon Gate truly entered the sight of all the forces. And all the disciples of the immortal sects also knew that besides the immortal sects of the Eight Cauldrons world, there was also a terrifying Dragon Gate hidden in the Jianghu. A powerful force with at least one middle-level immortal could be ranked in the top 10 in terms of overall strength. After Wang Xian received this news, he didn't pay too much attention to it. Now, those who knew about the existence of the Dragon Gate, such as the Puppet Immortal sect of Shunding, the Ming Wang Immortal sect, the Yellow Heaven Immortal sect of Yellow Ding, the Upper Nine Immortal sects and the Chaos Immortal sect, knew about the existence of the Dragon Gate. Tang Ding's Innate Immortal sect, True Martial Immortal Academy, and Ice God Immortal sect, Yarrow Ding's Holy Doctor Immortal sect, and Holy Medicine Immortal sect also knew about the existence of Dragon King of Dragon Gate. In addition to Ji Ding's Immortal sect, 70% of the immortal sects knew about the existence of Dragon King of Dragon Gate. The news of the mysterious sea only spread the existence of Dragon King of Dragon Gate throughout the entire Jianghu. All the disciples of immortal sects knew about the existence of such a powerful force in Jianghu. It's getting fewer and fewer. We only caught about 70 fish today. 7 days later, Tang Yinxian looked at the day's harvest and said with slight dissatisfaction, more than 70 fish. This would definitely make the immortal sects drool if word got out. However, to Wang Xian and the rest, the harvest today was a little less. A few days ago, they caught more than 200 terrestrial starfish in one day at most. In the first 6 days, they caught 1,000 terrestrial starfish. On the 7th day, the number of terrestrial starfish began to decrease drastically. Although the mysterious sea was huge, the number of terrestrial starfish was not many. After catching them for 7 days, the number of terrestrial starfish was decreasing at a rapid rate. Perhaps in a few days, their harvest would be even less. The harvest is already considered pretty good. Wang Xian smiled. If the harvest in these 7 days were to turn into dragon energy, it could reach 70 to 80 million. However, compared to the earth starfish, Wang Xian was more inclined to change the earth starfish into a grade 6 medicinal pill. Consuming a grade 6 medicinal pill could increase his dragon energy by around 110,000. If he were to change it into a grade 6 medicinal pill, he would be able to increase his dragon energy by more than 100 million. Wang Xian was prepared to change all of the earth starfish into medicinal pills before consuming them. Whoosh! Whoosh! Just as he was about to return, 2 figures suddenly flew over at a terrifying speed. The figures were flying on their swords. They were wearing yellow clothes and the word Shenyuan was written on their chests. Huh! Wang Xian looked over and saw two middle-aged men flying towards them. Dragon King of the Dragon Gate, nice to meet you. The two of us are from the Shenyuan clan. The two middle-aged men came in front of Wang Xian and put away their spiritual swords. They cupped their hands towards Wang Xian with smiles on their faces. Shenyuan clan? May I know why you are here? Wang Xian asked them with a puzzled expression. The two middle-aged men were extremely powerful. One of them was a lower-level immortal while the other should be a middle-level immortal. We are inviting the Dragon Sect to participate in the Celestial Sect's disciple competition in 2 days' time. You didn't participate in the Celestial Sect's agreement last time. This time, our Shenyuan clan would like to invite you to participate in this grand event. A middle-aged man smiled and handed an invitation card to Wang Xian. Celestial Sect's disciple competition? Wang Xian took the invitation card and revealed a curious expression. Yes, all the Celestial Sects will take out some items to support this Celestial Sect's disciple competition. Dragon Sect has the strength of the Celestial Sect, so our Shenyuan clan sincerely invites you, Dragon King, the middle-aged man said politely to him. All right, I will attend on time. Wang Xian hesitated for a moment before nodding his head. Chapter 771, Grand Competition of the Disciples of the Immortal Sects. Dragon King, the grand competition of the disciples of the immortal sects is the recognition of each immortal sect and their disciples. Each of the 20 immortal sects will take out a treasure as a reward for the winning disciples. According to the rules of our grand competition, those who are in the top 20 and have joined the Dragon Sect will be ranked 21. Those who enter the ranking will be rewarded. The Dragon Gate can join the competition directly. What do you think, Dragon King? The two middle-aged men from the Shenyuan clan smiled at Wang Xian. Reward. Wang Xian looked thoughtful. Then let's make a grade 13 spiritual weapon. It's a celestial weapon. It can be customized. After obtaining the art of engraving formations from Feng Luan, Wang Xian could already forge grade 13 spiritual weapons. With the materials he had now, he could forge many grade 13 spirit weapons. It was very suitable for him to take out the celestial weapon as a reward. After the grade 13 spirit weapon, he could add more and custom make it. This was to promote his forging workshop in the future. In addition, he could also showcase the heroic spirit of the Dragon Gate. Grade 13 spirit weapon? The two middle-aged men were slightly stunned. A hint of shock flashed in their eyes. Dragon King, are you sure that it's a grade 13 spiritual weapon? They pursed their lips and asked again in surprise. Of course. I'm a weaponsmith. I can tailor-make a spiritual weapon for the winner. Wang Xian nodded with a smile. Dragon King, you're really generous. This reward of yours can be used as the reward for the first winner. The two of them smiled and said, Oh right, Dragon King, each immortal sect has a spot for a guaranteed disciple. The guaranteed disciple can enter the competition for the 21 spots directly. There is no need for the previous competition. If it's a disciple, there might not be a disciple from the Dragon Sect participating in this competition. Wang Xian smiled and shook his head. Oh right, if the two of you need to refine a grade 13 spiritual weapon in the future, I can do it as long as you bring out 3 sets of materials. In the future, our Dragon Sect will open a forging workshop and advertise it now. 3 sets of materials can be used to refine a grade 13 spiritual weapon. The two middle-aged men looked at each other in astonishment. Looks like I'll have to trouble you, Dragon King, to help me refine weapons in the future. The two middle-aged men were even more enthusiastic as they smiled at Wang Xian. Among all the immortal sects, the Yongchang Immortal Sect was the strongest in refining weapons. There were 2 immortals in the Yongchang Immortal Sect who could refine a grade 13 spiritual weapon. Furthermore, the success rate was only 1/3 to 1/4. Furthermore, the 2 immortal gods basically would not craft a spiritual weapon. Other than the immortal gods from the Yongchang Immortal Sect, there were no more than 3 who could craft a level 13 spiritual weapon. To get them to craft a spiritual weapon of the immortal god, they would have to pay a terrifying price. Now that 3 sets of materials could be used to craft a spiritual weapon of the immortal god, it was believed that many immortal gods would come. The spiritual weapon of the immortal god was different from a level 12 spiritual weapon. The spiritual weapon of the immortal god already possessed the way of transformation and was very difficult to craft. Wang Xian smiled when he saw their expressions. Although inscribing an array formation was more complicated and difficult with a high failure rate, it was not a big problem for him. A 100% success rate might not be possible, but there was a 90% success rate. Moreover, if he were to let Feng Yuan refine it, it would be a 100% success rate. Now that he could get 2 out of 3 sets of materials, the benefits were already astonishing. Of course, no problem. At most, the Dragon Gate workshop will officially open in all the major cities in a month. Wang Xian smiled. All right, we will be there on time. We shall disturb you then. We will meet again at the disciple competition in 2 days. The 2 middle-aged men cupped their hands at Wang Xian. All right. Wang Xian nodded. Thank you for your hard work. These are the earth starfish that we caught in the mysterious sea today. Consider them as gift. As he spoke, he smiled and handed over more than 70 earth starfish. More than 70 earth starfish. Dragon King, you are really generous. The 2 middle-aged men looked at the net of earth starfish with a slightly bitter expression. Their eyes lit up as well. The preciousness of more than 70 earth starfish was enough to move the hearts of immortals and deities. Haha, we have caught more than 1,000 of them over the past few days. It's not a big deal to give you more than 70 of them. Take care, both of you. Wang Xian cupped his hands and smiled at him. All right, then we won't be stingy in accepting them. When we arrive at the Shenyuan clan, we will take good care of you, Dragon King. The 2 middle-aged men cupped their hands happily and accepted the earth starfish. Then, they flew into the distance. This Dragon King is very different from the one in the information. He looks good and has a very good character. Maybe it's because of the powers of our Shenyuan clan. However, looking at how generous he is indeed not as difficult to get along with as described in the information. The 2 of them who came to the sky on their flying swords conversed in a low voice. Their figures turned into an aurora and disappeared. Xiao Xian, are we going to participate in the Celestial Sect's disciple competition? Guan Shuqing asked Wang Xian curiously from the side. Of course, we have to participate. The so-called Celestial Sect's competition is a competition between the forces of the Jianghu and also a demonstration of the powers of the Celestial Sect. Now that the name of the Dragon Gate has spread throughout the Jianghu, this competition is also the first time the Dragon Gate will make an appearance. When the time comes, you, me, and Ao Jian will go together. It will also be a demonstration of the powers of the Dragon Gate. Wang Xian said with a smile. If it's the day after tomorrow, we will have to make some preparations. Guan Shuqing nodded. Okay, call all the disciples of the Dragon Gate. We will head over immediately. Wang Xian nodded. The group of them came to a restaurant in a small town beside the mysterious sea. Wang Xian immediately contacted Xiao Yu and Qing Yu. A few girls were very interested in the competition this time around and expressed that they would go together. Naturally, Wang Xian agreed gladly. The next day, Wang Xian called Prime Minister Gui over and asked him to bring back the corpse of the immortal-level water-striped unicorn. With the corpse of the water-striped unicorn, with the effect of cultivating the star-guiding disc for more than a year, it was entirely possible to create 1 or even 2 immortal-level members. The Dragon Palace currently had 33 half-step immortal-level immortals. These 33 half-step immortal-level immortals had a high possibility of stepping into the immortal level at any time. Apart from that, the 9 Huis were currently in the process of breaking through. It would only take them a few months to reach the immortal god realm. At that time, the 9 Huis would have the combat strength of 9 immortal gods. When they came out, the Dragon Palace's strength would receive a terrifying increase. These few days, Wang Xian was prepared to go to the mysterious sea to devour some aquatic creatures. However, after searching for half a day, he only found a few dozen elixir realm and an infant realm creature. He had only increased his dragon chi by about 10 million. Brother, sister-in-law Shu Qing, At noon the next day, Xiao Yu, Qing Yu, Ao Jian, and the group of draconids rushed to the small town beside the mysterious sea. Other than them, there were also 10 strange demons hiding in the void. Ao Yarrow was among them. Let's go. Let's head to the immortal gate of the Shen Yuan clan. Chapter 772, Immortal Sect Gathering. The first Immortal Sect Disciple Competition. This was a very sensational event for the entire Jianghu. For all the Immortal Sect disciples, this was a grand event. There were peerless beauties in Jianghu, and there was a Heaven's Pride roll. However, there wasn't a ranking on the Heaven's Pride roll. Moreover, everyone wasn't very clear about the overall strength of an Immortal Sect disciple. However, through this Immortal Sect disciple competition, one could understand the strength of the disciples of the various great immortal sects. The true ranking of the prodigy roll. The overall strength of the disciples of the various great immortal sect. And even the strength of some immortal sect. This time, after the emergence of the 8 Cauldron world, it was the first time that a disciple could truly make a name for himself. This time, the competition was for the strong, and they could soar to the skies in this competition. It was a heaven's chosen who could shine brilliantly in this battle. As long as they could enter the top 21 of the competition, they would definitely be the most powerful 21 disciples in the entire Jianghu. To those heaven's chosen and monstrous disciples, this was simply the best competition. It was a dragon that could truly soar to the 9 heavens. The entire Jianghu was in an uproar. All the disciples of the immortal sects were sharpening their blades. There was truly a chance to make a name for themselves. No disciple with ambition and strength would give up on this competition. On the pugilistic world online, everyone was discussing the matter of the disciple competition. There were even some who were analyzing the strength of the various prodigies. All in all, the entire pugilistic world was abnormally lively. Apart from the reputation gained from the competition, the rewards from the competition also caused everyone to be in an uproar. The Shenyuan clan has taken out the 1 heaven primordial water as a reward for the prodigy disciples. The Yuan clan has taken out a level 1 array spirit gathering formation as a reward for the prodigy disciples. The Holy Medicine Immortal Sect has taken out 2 level 7 pills as a reward for the disciples. Each and every one of them was richly rewarded, especially yesterday, when the Shenyuan clan announced an important matter for the competition. Apart from the 20 immortal sects, the Dragon Gate was invited to participate in the Immortal Sect competition this time. The Dragon King of the Dragon Gate had custom-made a level 13 spirit weapon for the Heavens Chosen. When this news came out, everyone was in an uproar. A grade 13 spirit weapon. Nowadays, even immortals and gods might not be able to own a grade 13 spirit weapon. The winning Heaven's favorites would be qualified to obtain a grade 13 spirit weapon. One could imagine how precious it was. The atmosphere of the entire martial arts world was ignited to the extreme. All the disciples of the immortal sects were filled with fighting spirit. Hey, brother, which immortal sect is that over there? There are so many beautiful women. Just as they walked out of the small town and Wang Xian and the rest were about to board the airship, a group of people from the immortal sect beside them walked forward. Fengyang Immortal Sect. Only the Fengyang Immortal Sect is filled with women. Wang Xian glanced at Xiao Yu and said with a smile. No wonder there isn't a single man. I heard that their immortal sect has a beauty who is the best in terms of beauty. I wonder if she is prettier than her sisters-in-law. Xiao Yu looked at them curiously. Guan Shuqing, Lan Qingyu and the rest smiled and said, Xiao Yu cares about beauties. I heard that beauty Xiao Yu saved a handsome guy. I wonder if that handsome guy has given himself to her. Aya, what pretty girl saved a handsome guy? What kind of handsome guy is he? He is far worse than my brother. Xiao Yu heard their teasing and blushed slightly. She quickly said, Oh, is that so? Our Xiao Yu is not young anymore. Let us keep an eye on you. If you meet a good man, you can marry him. Haha. A few girls teased Xiao Yu. This made her pout. She hugged Wang Xian's arm and said that her sisters-in-law were bullying her. Wang Xian smiled at the side and said, If you want to find a boyfriend, I agree. In this competition of the top 20 prodigies of the immortal sects, if there's anyone you like, Tell me. I'll propose a marriage for you. Haha. Brother, even you are teasing me. I'm ignoring you. When Xiao Yu saw that Wang Xian was not defending her, she tugged at his arm angrily. Little girl, you're not young anymore. Wang Xian patted her head lovingly. Timpate. Xiao Yu rolled her eyes at him and pouted her lips without saying another word. That is. Dragon King of the Dragon Gate. At this moment, a group of people from the Fengyang Celestial sect also saw Wang Xian and the rest. The two women standing in the middle looked over with a hint of surprise in their eyes. According to the information we received, the Dragon Gate has 2 intermediate immortals, 1 lower immortal, and 50 to 60 infant stage powerhouse. A woman's eyes flickered as she spoke. Indeed, they are all infant realm experts. All of them are following behind him. It seems that the Dragon Gate doesn't have any ordinary disciples. The weakest one is also an infant realm expert. They should be participating in the grand competition. There are a total of 3 immortal gods. The water blue staff in the woman's hand flickered with specks of light. Each speck of light was different in size. This was a method of detection. It's better not to provoke such a force. No ordinary disciples means no worries. Besides, the strength of this Dragon Gate can be ranked at the top among all the immortal sect. The woman next to her said indifferently. Cheng Ching Cheng and the other disciples of the immortal sects heard the conversation between the 2 immortal gods and revealed shocked expressions. They looked over and were filled with astonishment. A faction in the real world was participating in the competition of the disciples of the immortal sects together with the 20 immortal sects. Their strength was so terrifying that many immortal sects were afraid of them. The young clan leader of the Thunder Clan had his limbs cut off. The Thunder Clan did not have any reaction to this. The Dragon Gate could be considered to be walking in the sight of all the immortal sects. Wang Xian and the rest came to the airship and flew directly in the direction of the Shen Yuan clan. This airship was gifted by the Puppet Immortal sect and was similar to the airship of the Innate Immortal sect. The location where the Shen Yuan cauldron appeared was not far from Shangjing. The Shen Yuan clan and the Yuan clan were the 2 great immortal sects within the sect. The Shen Yuan clan and the Yuan clan were also ranked in the top 5 among all the immortal sects. The immortal sect disciple competition this time was held within the Shen Yuan clan. The ancient immortal sects and clans liked to place their foundations in the mountains, and the Shen Yuan clan was no exception. The airship arrived in the sky above a group of mountains. The mountain stream was filled with the chirping of cranes and the chirping of apes. It was filled with an ancient charm. May I know which immortal sect is here? Welcome. A voice was heard. Following that, a figure stood on the spirit sword and shouted at Wang Xian and the rest on the airship. Dragon Gate. Wang Xian looked at the half-step immortal god powerhouse of the Shenyuan clan and said in a deep voice. So it's Dragon Gate. You must be the Dragon King. Please follow me. The middle-aged man bowed to Wang Xian and guided him. Sorry for the trouble. Wang Xian nodded. The airship landed on a huge square under the middle-aged man's guidance. At this moment, there were already quite a number of airships in the square. There were also people from other immortal sects around them. Dragon King, we have already arranged a mountain peak for all of you to live on. Please. The middle-aged man from the Shen Yuan clan gestured to Wang Xian. Okay. Wang Xian nodded his head. Everyone followed behind the middle-aged man and walked forward. Dragon King, this is the mountain peak where you live at Dragon Gate. The rooms inside are sufficient for all of you to live in, the middle-aged man said to Wang Xian respectfully. Wang Xian came to participate in this competition as a big shot. A top-notch powerhouse who was on equal footing with the 20 immortal sects. The Shen Yuan clan didn't dare to be the slightest bit negligent. Chapter 773, Immortals. Brother, are there any disciples from the Dragon Gate participating in this prodigy competition? If the Golden Swordfish clan were to participate, they would definitely be able to sweep through all the immortal sect. On a single mountain peak, ancient buildings were built on top of the mountain peak. They were filled with an immortal aura. This was the welcoming peak of the Shenyuan clan. It was specially prepared for the people from the immortal sects. Xiao Yu looked around and asked Wang Xian with a smile. No, there's no need to earn these things. If you want to participate in the competition, I can directly report your name. It's a little difficult for the Golden Swordfish clan to sweep the competition. Wang Xian smiled and shook his head. He wasn't planning to send his disciples to participate. It wasn't meaningful to the Dragon Gate. During the competition, he would lead a group of Dragon Gate members to watch the competition from the viewing platform of the Immortal Gate. At that time, their strength would naturally be seen by all the immortal sects. Naturally, they would be able to serve as a deterrent. There was no need for the Dragon Gate members to participate in the competition. Furthermore, among the Dragon Gate members, those under the age of 40 were at the infant stage. It would be difficult for them to get first place or even the top 3. The disciples of the Immortal Gate were not jealous, especially the most talented ones. Take Feng Lingtian for example. His strength was not bad. When Xiao Yu had not reached the half-step Immortal God Realm, it was difficult for him to defeat him. The current members of the Dragon Gate were not as strong as Xiao Yu. After all, the strength of the Bone Dragon was not something that the Draconids could match. Unless Wang Xian called the Golden Swordfish clan over. Participating in the Prodigy competition would be an age test. Using the array compass, one would be able to determine how long a person had lived. The lifespan of the Golden Swordfish was mostly 20 to 30 years. Even Ao Jian was only over 50 years old. The Golden Swordfish clan had 2 half-step immortal deity disciples and 68 infant realm experts. If they were to come, they could not guarantee that they could sweep all the prodigies. However, it should not be a problem to sweep 90% of them. However, there was no need for them to come. It was better to let them cultivate in the Dragon Palace. I'm not going to participate. At most, I'll be a little stronger than Feng Lingtian. Going there is simply a torture for noobs. Xiao Yu curled her lips and said with some disdain. Now, her strength was almost comparable to that of an immortal god. None of the Heaven's favorites would be a match for her. Let's just take a look at the strength of the immortal sect and the Heaven's favorites. Let's just treat it as a vacation. Wang Xian said with a smile. Shenyuan Qingyuan from the Shenyuan clan. Shenyuan Fenghua is here to pay a visit to the Dragon King. At this moment, a middle-aged voice came from outside. Wang Xian's heart skipped a beat. Sensing the 2 immortals outside, he smiled and said, Brothers, please come in. Haha, Dragon King, we have brought some spirit wine that is unique to the Shenyuan clan. Let's have a drink with you. The 2 immortals from the Shenyuan clan were the 2 who came to deliver the invitation last time. They had received some benefits from Wang Xian. It was only right for them to come over to entertain him this time. Wang Xian smiled and welcomed them into the hall. The few of them sat at the table and started chatting with some spirit dishes and the immortal wine that was unique to the Shenyuan clan. After having a meal with them, Wang Xian had a more detailed understanding of the 20 immortal sects. Currently, the Shenyuan clan was acknowledged to be the strongest, followed by the Yuan clan, followed by the Wild Beast Immortal sect. After that, the 2 immortal sects, Holy Medicine and Holy Doctor, would join forces. This was because these 2 immortal sects were basically indistinguishable from each other. Behind them were the True Martial Immortal Academy and the Strange Thorn clan. However, this was only the ranking on the surface. This was because the 2 immortal sects, Holy Medicine and Holy Doctor, occupied the same cauldron. If they hid their strength, no one else would know. It was also unknown whether the other immortal sects had hidden their strength. Currently, there were 3 upper gods in the immortal sects on the surface. It was unknown whether they would still exist in the dark. Shenyuan Qingyuan and the others would also not tell Wang Xian about their immortal sect's trump card. After a meal, they gained some understanding of the strength of the 20 immortal sects. For the Heaven's favorites of the immortal sects, this competition was a chance to show off their strength and make a name for themselves. For the immortals, it was a chance to learn more about the strength of the other immortal sects as well as the potential of their disciples. It was also a chance to show off the strength of their disciples. After all, the immortals forbade fighting now. The strength of the disciples of the immortal sects was the key combat strength of an immortal sect. Dragon King, The selection of the disciples of the immortal sects will begin at 9 o'clock tomorrow. The competition will last for 3 days, and the final day will decide the winner. This time, not only 20 disciples of the immortal sects will participate in the competition. In every world of the tripod, there are not only the immortal sects, but also some small forces and small clans. If the disciples of those small forces and small clans are outstanding, the immortal sects can throw out an olive branch. Tomorrow at 9 o'clock, all the immortals from the immortal sects will come to Shenyuan Peak of the Shenyuan clan to hand over the reward items to us first. We will place them on the Heaven's Pride stage. In addition, we can also meet them in advance. Before leaving, Shenyuan Qingyuan and Shenyuan Fenghua reminded Wang Xian. All right. Wang Xian nodded and sent them off. I will meet the immortals from the immortal sects tomorrow. After sending the two of them away, the corner of Wang Xian's mouth curled up slightly. Among the 20 immortal sects, there should be no less than 40 immortals coming this time. They were practically the pillars of the entire Jianghu and were the strongest. Outside, the immortal sects came to their respective mountain peaks. For this grand competition, not a single immortal sect would be absent. Some of the disciples from the immortal sects came in the thousands, at least 400 to 500 people. The Dragon Gate was considered a very small number. However, in terms of the number of powerhouses, the infant stage powerhouses from the Dragon Gate could definitely be ranked in the top 3. Guan Shuqing, Lan Qingyu, and Xiaoyu, the 6 girls, stood on the peak and read the posts gossiping about the heaven's favorites from the immortal sects. They were chatting very enthusiastically. Wang Xian walked up and smiled faintly. He looked around. Heaven's favorite disciple? A genius that only appears once in 10,000 years. The strongest person among the disciples of the immortal sects. In front of him, he was already Yun Yang. He was already standing at an even higher position. Those heaven's favorites who were older than him were merely a junior. Their heights were no longer the same. Wang Xian no longer had the towering presence that he had when competing with the heaven's favorites. Dong dong dong. The next morning, around 8:40 a.m., the bell rang. Please follow me to the battleground, Dragon Gate disciples. Please follow me to Shenyuan Peak. A disciple of the Shenyuan clan came to the foot of the mountain peak and said loudly, Xiao Yu, Qing Yu, Ling Xiu, you guys go to the battleground first. Shu Qing, Ao Jian, let's go to Shenyuan Peak. Wang Xian said to them. The 5 girls nodded and led a group of Dragon Gate members to follow the Shenyuan clan disciples to the battleground. Wang Xian and Guan Shuqing Ao Jian flew towards the Shenyuan Peak. The Shenyuan Peak was the largest peak of the Shenyuan clan. The peak towered into the clouds and reached 4,000 to 5,000 meters tall. The peak of the Shenyuan Peak was called the Immortal Stage. It was located in the clouds and mist and was mysterious and ethereal. Ming Wang Immortal Sect. Holy Medicine Immortal Sect, Holy Doctor Immortal Sect. True Martial Immortal Academy. In mid-air, Wang Xian heard voices coming from the immortal stage. Wang Xian raised his head slightly and a faint aura emanated from his body. Dragon Gate. Chapter 774, Friend and Foe. Dragon Gate. A faint voice resonated throughout the immortal spiritual pedestal. Wang Xian flew over with Guan Shuqing and Ao Jian. Dragon Gate. At this moment, all the immortals from the major immortal sects who had arrived at the immortal spiritual pedestal looked over. Dragon Gate and Dragon King were a very special force to all the immortal sects. They were not from the 8 Cauldrons world, nor were they from an immortal sect that had been passed down for a long time. Instead, they were an overlord of the Jianghu in the past. However, this overlord that they had overlooked at the beginning possessed terrifying strength. There were at least 3 immortal gods. 2 of them might be middle immortals, and there were 50 to 60 infant stage powerhouses. Just this top-notch combat strength alone was enough to suppress most of the immortal sects. Dozens of gazes were fixed on him. Wang Xian swept his gaze across everyone on the stage and revealed a faint smile. Ling Xiao from the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect. Nice to meet you. A middle-aged man swept his gaze across the 3 of them and finally landed on Wang Xian. He cupped his hands with a smile on his face. Nice to meet you, Wang Xian. Wang Xian cupped his hands with a smile. Ling Xiao was Feng Lingtian's father. However, what puzzled him was why Feng Lingtian and Ling Xiao didn't share the same surname. Naturally, he didn't ask about it out of curiosity. Dragon King, Elder Mu and the Queen of Flowers from the innate immortal sect walked to Wang Xian's side with smiles on their faces. They greeted him with a smile. Dragon King, 3 immortals from the Puppet Immortal sect and the Mingwang Immortal sect came over to greet him with smiles on their faces. Elder Mu, Queen of Flowers, everyone. Wang Xian nodded his head in a friendly manner. These few immortal sects were on the friendly side. This was especially so for the natural-born immortal sect and the Yellow Heaven Immortal sect. It's better to meet than to be famous. The Dragon King became an immortal god in his 20s. He is as dazzling as the bright sun in the sky. An old man from the Shen Yuan clan, who was dressed in yellow, walked over slowly. His eyes were filled with curiosity as he looked at Wang Xian. Haha, Liao Zon. Speaking of which, I would like to thank the Shen Yuan clan for their invitation to the Dragon sect this time. Wang Xian laughed out loud and looked at the old man. His heart skipped a beat. His strength should be the strength of the supreme elder of the Shen Yuan clan that Shen Yuan Fenghua had mentioned, a superior immortal. The Dragon Gate has the strength and the qualifications to do so. The old man smiled with a face full of smiles. Hee, young hero. At this moment, a faint mocking voice came from the side. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows and looked around. In the arena, all the immortal sects had basically arrived. The natural-born immortal sect, Yellow Heaven Immortal sect, Puppet Immortal sect, and Mingwang Immortal sect had basically maintained a friendly relationship. However, there were also some people whose eyes were slightly cold. Among the 6 immortals from the Saint Medicine Immortal sect and the Saint Doctor Immortal sect who came this time, the green-robed elder whom they met last time was also among them. Apart from that, an elder from the Chaos Origin Immortal sect's eyes were filled with killing intent. As for the Ice God clan that was emitting an icy intent, the Thunder clan's eyes that were filled with terrifying lightning rays were not very friendly. The immortal gods from the Yongchang Immortal sect, the Immortal Slaying Path, and the Great Flood Immortal sect looked at him with a slightly complicated expression. The other immortal sects were filled with curiosity. In the arena, there were a few factions that were clearly in a hostile state. The one who spoke was the green-robed elder from the Holy Medicine Immortal sect. He narrowed his eyes slightly and stared at him. Wang Xian looked at the green-robed elder with a cold expression on his face. The corner of his mouth curled up slightly. Naturally, you can't compare to him. Haha, good. You have guts. When the green-robed elder heard Wang Xian's words, he smiled coldly with an emerald-green glow flickering on his body. Of course you have guts. Guan Shuqing, who was at the side, smiled as she held onto Wang Xian's arm. She stared at the green-robed elder with fire in her eyes. The green-robed elder turned his gaze to Guan Shuqing. The corners of his eyes twitched slightly. Dragon King, you blocked the city gate of our Hunyuan Immortal sect and killed the elders and disciples of our Hunyuan Immortal sect. We will remember this. At this moment, the supreme elder of the Hunyuan Immortal sect stared at Wang Xian with murderous intent in his eyes. So what if I block your immortal sect and kill your elders and disciples? Closing the city gate for 4 days is just a joke among all the immortal sect. Before Wang Xian could speak, Ling Xiao stared at the supreme elder of the Hunyuan Immortal sect and said directly, "All right, everyone. Today is the day of the grand competition of the immortal sects. Let's put aside our grudges for now." Seeing the frozen atmosphere around them, the old man from the Shen Yuan clan chuckled and slowly charged forward with his aura. Just now, with the aura of the entire immortal stage, even a half-step immortal god expert would feel his breathing freeze when he stood there. The old man's strength was incomparably terrifying. With just a single charge, all of his aura vanished into thin air. The disciple competition is about to begin. Everyone, hand over the rewards to us first. Grudges, hand them over to me. As immortal gods, we are forbidden to act. Dragon King, you should know about the immortal god agreement, right? An elder from the Yuan clan walked to the side of the elder from the Shen Yuan clan and echoed his words. He did not want to say the last sentence. However, seeing that the Dragon King was full of energy and was going against the few great immortal sects, he had no choice but to remind him based on the previous information. Of course I know. Wang Xian smiled faintly. With a wave of his arm, a grade 13 spirit sword appeared in his hand. First, place a grade 13 spirit weapon here. Finally, tailor-made. Dragon King, your reward is considered the most precious among the 21 immortal sect. The elder from the Yuan clan took the spirit sword and said with a smile. Wang Xian smiled nonchalantly. He looked at the puppet immortal sect and the Mingwang immortal sect and said, Brother Fengmo and Fengshuo, if you want to forge a grade 13 spirit weapon, you can look for me. All right, Dragon King. We will relay the message. The few immortal gods nodded and looked at Guan Shuqing who was at the side. They were slightly surprised in their hearts. According to the introduction of the two brothers Fengmo and Fengshuo, there were no female immortal gods who had charged into Yuding. Now, there was another female immortal god who was at the middle immortal level beside the Dragon King. This Dragon Gate was even stronger than they had imagined. They could not help but feel lucky that it did not turn into a fight back then. Since that's the case, let's go to the competition ground. The elder of the Shenyuan clan held all the rewards in his hands. He scanned the surroundings and said faintly, Let's go then. The group of immortals nodded. Their bodies moved and carried the might of immortals. They flew toward the competition grounds like immortals descending from the heavens. Let's go. Wang Xian said to Guan Shuqing and Ao Jian. The three of them flew through the air. At this moment, in the Shen Yuan clan's arena, the arena was circular. There were a total of 22 platforms. Apart from one platform that represented the scattered sects, the rest of the platforms were filled with disciples from the immortal sects. On the 22 platforms, there were already densely packed with disciples from the immortal sects. Each immortal sect had at least 400 to 500 people, and there were at least thousands of people. In the middle of the 22 platforms, there were huge arenas. Each of the arenas had a radius of 1,000 meters. They were enveloped by a blue energy. This arena seemed to only have a radius of 1 kilometer, but it actually had a radius of 4 to 5 kilometers. It was just that the Yuan clan had used a formation to make it appear to only have a radius of 1 kilometer. Chapter 775. The competition began. The gathering of 21 powerful forces is simply an unprecedented event. All the heavens' favorites are here. Is that the Dragon Gate? There are so few of them. However, it is said that none of the disciples of the Dragon Gate are below the infant realm. I really didn't expect that there would be such a terrifying force in the pugilistic world. I heard that the one who blocked the city gate of the Hunyuan Immortal Gate was an expert of the Dragon Gate. It's simply too domineering. That's Shenyuan Fengyi from the Shenyuan clan. Shenyuan Fengyi has a very high chance of winning the first place in this Heaven's Favorites competition. His Shenyuan spirit sword can shock the sun and the moon. Yuan Hua from the Yuan clan is also very powerful. He might also win the first place in this Heaven's Favorites competition. Look at the position of the Fengyang Immortal Sect. The one standing at the front is Cheng Qingcheng. She is simply too beautiful. How nice it would be if I could get close to her. Cheng Qingcheng, Shenyuan Yuna, Flower Fairy, Hua Fairy, and all the other peerless beauties have arrived. Today's trip was not in vain. In the genius competition, whoever gets the first place will be the bright moon that suppresses the same generation, the king of geniuses among the younger generation. The competition hasn't started yet. No one can be sure who is the king of geniuses, and who can suppress the same generation. This is too exciting. The king of heaven's favorites, a genius who can suppress an era. A genius who is as bright as the moon in the sky. Who will be the winner? On the 22 platforms, all the disciples of the immortal sects were discussing excitedly. On the 22 platforms of the immortal sects, the seeded participants of the immortal sects stood at the front with proud faces. Each of the youths had a lofty head, and their bodies were exuding powerful confidence and proud expressions. They were the most powerful existences among the current generation of disciples of the immortal sects. They were the strongest disciples of the current generation of the immortal sects, and they had the strength to be proud of themselves. And everyone was also talking about these disciples. Perhaps other than them, only beautiful women with peerless beauty could make the people around them talk. However, this time, the main character was a heaven's favorite. Who could suppress an era? Who was the king of heaven's favorites? Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, an immortal god with terrifying power flew over from the immortal platform. It's Lord Immortal God and the others. That's the Grand Elder of the Shenyuan clan, a high-level immortal, one of the most powerful people in the current generation. That's the Grand Elder of the Yuan clan, the sect masters of the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect and the Holy Doctor Immortal Sect. When the immortal gods that seemed to be carrying the power of a small world flew over one after another, the immortal gods were like the shining sun, causing people to feel fear in their hearts. The slightly noisy sounds in the battleground quickly quieted down, and the immortal sect disciples raised their heads to look at the immortal gods in awe. Even the most outstanding disciples of the immortal sects were filled with awe and yearning. Only by stepping into the immortal realm could one transcend from the mortal realm and truly transcend from the mortal realm. Dragon King of the Dragon Gate, that's the Dragon King. He's so young. It's said that the Dragon King is only in his 20s. Suddenly, a slightly high and surprised voice was heard. The 7,000 to 8,000 people around looked at the young man who was walking in the air. He was dressed in black and there was a picture of a 5-colored divine dragon on it. The Dragon King, who was giving off an imposing aura, was full of endless majesty. He's an immortal god in his 20s. The founder of the Dragon Gate is only in his 20s. The prodigy competition? With the Dragon King's age, all the prodigies in the competition are probably older than the Dragon King, right? Even if a young prodigy becomes a prodigy king, he's just an ant in front of the Dragon King, right? Some people suddenly whispered, and then their expressions became strange. Prodigy king? Suppressing the same era? Compared to a mid-level immortal in his 20s, who was the founder of a force that could rival immortal sects, the so-called prodigy king might only be considered pretty good in his eyes. In an instant, even the strongest disciples of immortal sects looked a little dazed. All the immortal gods came to the sky above their respective immortal sects and looked down at all the disciples of the immortal sects. Today will be the first Heaven's Chosen Disciple competition of China's Jianghu. Every disciple who makes it onto the list represents the glory of an immortal sect. Those who make it onto the list will be rewarded by the immortal sect. As the Grand Elder of the Shenyuan clan spoke, he waved his arm and items flew directly to a huge pillar of light in the middle. According to the ranking, the rewards will be selected in order. The most precious item is an immortal artifact that the Dragon King of the Dragon Gate made. I now announce that the grand competition of the disciples of the Immortal Gate has officially begun. The voice of the Grand Elder of the Shenyuan clan rang out in everyone's ears. The group of immortals slowly landed on the platform of the disciples of the Immortal Gate. There were seats at the very front. So many treasures. The reward for being able to enter the top 21 is simply too crazy. The lowest is a grade 7 medicinal pill. The most precious thing is actually an immortal god weapon. Moreover, it's a custom-made immortal god weapon. It's too rich. The Dragon King is not only a middle-level immortal, but also a grandmaster of artifact refining. He can create immortal god weapons. If the first place in this grand competition is the bright moon, then the Dragon King is the radiant sun. Once the radiant sun appears, the bright moon loses its splendor. The disciples of the immortal sects looked at the objects in the light pillar in amazement, their eyes shining with a fiery light. At the same time, all the disciples of the immortal sects were full of exclamations toward the Dragon King. Even the beauties on the Peerless Beauty chart all looked toward the Dragon Gate stage. However, when they saw the 6 women sitting together with the Dragon King on the stage, they were slightly stunned. Each of the 6 women was more beautiful than the other. In terms of temperament and appearance, they were definitely comparable to the top 5 beauties on the Supreme Beauty chart, or even higher. At the beginning of the grand competition, there are 5 arenas in the arena. Except for the 20 seeded contestants, 21 disciples will be selected from all the disciples of the immortal sects. They will compete with the 20 seeded contestants for the 21 spots. All strength is respected. There are no rules on the arenas. The winner is the king, and a life-and-death battle can be decided. The grand competition began. The rules stated that the winner was the king, and a life-and-death battle could be decided. This was a heavens-chosen competition, and it was also a battle between immortal sects. The immortals and gods didn't act, so the grudges had to be settled in the disciple competition. This meant that this battle would be very bloody, and people would die in it. The so-called genius competition was also a war between the immortal sects. The hatred could be resolved here. The immortal gods were the chess players, and the disciples of the immortal sects were the chess pieces. They controlled the chess pieces and played the game. Start the disciple competition of the immortal sect. A loud shout sounded out, indicating that the disciple competition of the immortal sects had begun. In an instant, all the confident young geniuses were filled with fighting spirit. Among the immortal sects, my Shen Yuan clan is the strongest. I, Shen Yuan Hao, will be the first to appear. Who wants to fight? A disciple of the Shen Yuan clan moved and directly jumped onto an arena in the center. He raised his head slightly and spoke arrogantly. Chapter 776, Provoked. The disciple competition officially began. The disciples of the Shen Yuan clan stepped out and proudly announced that the Shen Yuan clan was the strongest existence among all the immortal sects. This was a display of the immortal sects and also a strong confidence. The competition itself was a declaration of the strength of the immortal sects, so the disciples of the Shen Yuan clan did not keep a low profile. They proudly glanced at all the disciples of the immortal sects around them. A few immortal gods and disciples of the Shen Yuan clan looked at Shen Yuan Hao with smiles on their faces. Shen Yuan Hao, who was the first to appear, was definitely not ordinary. For a time, no one came to challenge him. If there aren't any, I'll take one of the 21 spot. The corner of Shen Yuan Hao's mouth slightly curled up as he announced confidently. Shen Yuan Hao is the most outstanding disciple besides Shen Yuan Fengyi. He has the strength of an infant realm cultivator and has 2 grade 12 spirit weapons. His strength is very terrifying. Shen Yuan Hao dared to come out for the first time. He must have great confidence and strength. His strength is comparable to some seeded disciples of the immortal sect. The surrounding disciples of the immortal sects discussed in a low voice. This person is really arrogant. Are all the disciples of the immortal sects so arrogant? Xiao Yu looked at Shen Yuan Hao below and curled her lips as she said. He is showing off the strength of the Shen Yuan clan. At this moment, the disciples are outstanding and represent the immortal sect. Wang Xian said lightly with a smile. No one from the Shen Yuan clan accepted the challenge. Next, a disciple from the Yuan clan also went up. No one accepted the challenge. Xiao Xian, look. This disciple from the wild beast immortal sect looks like a wild beast. The third person who went up was a disciple from the wild beast clan. He was extremely tall and sturdy. He was about 3 meters tall and exuded a ferocious aura. Wang Xian looked over and narrowed his eyes slightly. There are 2 immortal gods in the wild beasts immortal sect. Both of them are spirit beasts. The strongest golden lion can speak human language and has the strength of a superior immortal. The disciples of the wild beasts immortal sect are not only humans, but also spirit beast. It's really magical. Lan Qingyu and the other girls exclaimed in surprise. Even when the disciples of the wild beasts immortal sect entered the arena, no one dared to accept the challenge. Disciple of the Holy Doctor immortal sect, Bian Poisonous Dragon, come and challenge me. After the disciples of the wild beast immortal sect left the arena, a young man flew out from the direction of the Holy Doctor immortal sect. He was holding a black scepter in his hand. On the head of the scepter was the head of a black poisonous snake. It looked sinister and terrifying. He stood on the arena and scanned his surroundings. Finally, he suddenly looked in the direction of the Dragon Gate. The corner of his mouth curled up slightly as he asked arrogantly, "Huh?" Wang Xian raised his eyebrows when he saw the young man's gaze. Is there anyone who wants to challenge me? The young man's gaze was still fixed on the Dragon Gate's platform. He raised his head slightly and his eyes were filled with a cold expression. He raised his voice and shouted, "This is..." All the other disciples of the immortal sect were slightly stunned. Even the immortal gods were smiling as they watched this scene. The immortal gods were the chess players, and the disciples of the immortal sects were the chess pieces. With the relationship between the Holy Medicine Immortal sect and the Dragon sect, the immortal gods' chess pieces moved. Naturally, they wanted to use the chess pieces to embarrass the Dragon sect. Why didn't the Dragon sect have any disciples participate in this competition? The Dragon sect should have disciples under the age of 40, and their strength has reached the infant realm. Maybe they think that their disciples are not strong enough. There is still a big gap between the battle strength of the infant realm. The Dragon sect has only been established for a few years. No matter how powerful the Dragon King is, he can't be compared with the Holy Medicine Immortal sect and the Holy Medicine Immortal sect. I didn't expect the Holy Medicine Immortal sect and the Dragon Gate to have a conflict. These two immortal sects have more than 1,000 years of foundation. This flat poison dragon poison wood technique is very terrifying. I feel that among the 21 disciples who won in the end, he is definitely one of them. If the Dragon Gate doesn't have any disciples, it will be a little embarrassing. The surrounding disciples of the immortal sect looked at the flat poison dragon who was staring at the Dragon Gate and started to discuss. Let me have a taste of Brother Bien Du Long. At this moment, a young man flew out from the natural-born immortal sect and landed on the arena, staring at Bien Du Long. Hey! When the surrounding disciples saw the natural-born immortal sect's disciple making a move, they were also slightly stunned, and their faces revealed a look of surprise and doubt. Are you courting death? Bien Du Long saw a disciple from the natural-born immortal sect making a move to destroy the arena, and a cold expression appeared on his face. My hands are itchy, so I made a move once, the young man said to Bien Du Long indifferently. At the same time, he was sending a message that they, the innate immortal sect, would only make a move once. This was a message to the Holy Medicine Immortal sect and the Holy Doctor Immortal sect. At the same time, it was also a message to Wang Xian. The innate immortal sect was cooperating with the Dragon sect. Making a move once could be considered to be doing their best. If you don't know what's good for you, don't blame me for being merciless. The cold-faced young man moved and attacked. With a wave of his arm, the terrifying black poisonous wood instantly grew crazily under his feet. The poisonous wood was filled with sharp thorns and contained a terrifying poison. The young man from the innate immortal sect had a solemn expression. Similarly, the green trees around him also grew. The first battle began. Peng. Brother, that fellow is too arrogant. He is clearly provoking us. I will teach him a good lesson. At this moment, Xiao Yu slapped the chair and stood up with an angry expression. Wang Xian narrowed his eyes and said, "Sit down, Xiao Yu. Even if you were to make a move, you don't have to make a move. Moreover, if you were to make a move, it wouldn't be as simple as teaching him a lesson." He looked towards the positions of the Holy Medicine sect and the Holy Doctor sect. He met the cold and mocking expressions of the 6 celestials of the green-robed elder and the rest. The disciples of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect also looked over with their heads held high. Wang Xian smiled and knocked on the chair indifferently. "Ah, I admit defeat." At this moment, a scream came from below. The face of the young man from the innate immortal sect turned black. Black blood spewed from the corner of his mouth as he shouted in fear. "Mph, you dare to challenge me? You don't know death." The pitch-black thorn in the flat poison dragon's hand swung heavily towards the young man. The powerful force caused him to fly backwards as he spoke with a face full of disdain. Peng. An innate immortal sect elder finished off the young man with an embarrassed expression. What a killjoy. The young man held the black poisonous snake scepter in his hand as he spoke with disdain. His gaze directly turned towards the direction of the Dragon Gate. Originally, I wanted to challenge the disciples of the Dragon Gate, but in the end, I actually became a coward. Disciples of the Dragon Gate, you are welcome to fight at any time. Ha ha ha, Our Holy Medicine Immortal Gate and the Holy Doctor Immortal Gate will accept all of them. The flat poison dragon laughed loudly and flew directly in the direction of his immortal gate. Hehe, Dragon King, since you are here, don't be a spectator. Come out and play. Can't you be a disciple? At this moment, an indifferent voice filled the entire battleground. At the position of the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect, an immortal said with slight mockery. Everyone was shocked and held their breaths as they looked over. Play. Ha ha, all right. Tomorrow, the life and death battle between the young disciples of the sect, can you accept it? Wang Xian looked over with a smile. A trace of coldness flashed in his eyes as he asked indifferently. Our Holy Medicine Immortal Sect and Holy Doctor Immortal Sect have been around for 1,000 years. Why would we be afraid of a newly established dragon sect? Ha ha. The immortals from Holy Doctor Immortal Sect and Holy Medicine Immortal Sect laughed maniacally as they spoke loudly. Their voices spread across a radius of dozens of kilometers. This was the confidence of the two immortal sects that had been around for 1,000 years. Chapter 777, million people were watching. Boom. A life and death battle. A life and death battle between the Dragon Gate and the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect. The conversation between the Dragon King and the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect's sect master thoroughly stirred up all the disciples of the Immortal Sect in the surroundings. A life and death battle between young disciples. Is this a complete massacre? How can there be such hatred between the Dragon Gate and the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect? It's said that the Dragon King has exterminated the clansmen of the previous two immortal sects in the real world. The Dragon King is not rational. The Holy Medicine Immortal Sect and the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect have been passed down for thousands of years and have an unfathomable foundation. On the surface, they already have 2 middle-level immortals, 8 lower-level immortals, and tens of millions of disciples. How can the Dragon Gate compare with the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect and the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect? This is the dignity of immortals. If the Dragon King doesn't express his stance, I'm afraid that the disciples of the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect and the Holy Doctor Immortal Sect will continue to provoke them. Then, the Dragon Sect will lose a lot of face in the future. I heard that in order to appear in the world, the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect and the Holy Doctor Immortal Sect have taken out many precious medicinal pills. There are more than a dozen infant realm experts among the disciples under the age of 40. I heard that Hua Gujiang, the strongest disciple of the two immortal sects, has already reached the half-step immortal realm. The group of immortal sect disciples discussed in a low voice. Their faces were filled with astonishment. The Dragon Sect versus the Holy Doctor Immortal Sect and the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect was a major event in the martial arts world, especially the life and death battle. It was a battle that would not stop until one of them died. Haha, in the martial arts world, I, the Dragon King, have never been afraid of anyone. I hope that one of us will survive in the near future. When Wang Xian heard the arrogant laughter of the sect leader of the Holy Medicine Sect, he laughed out loud as well. He stared at them fearlessly. Good, good. Upon hearing Wang Xian's words, the faces of all the immortals from the Holy Medicine Sect and the Holy Medicine Sect darkened. I hope the Dragon King will remember what you said today. Their eyes were filled with a crazy killing intent as they stared at Wang Xian coldly. Hee. Wang Xian stared at them without showing any signs of weakness. His eyes were also filled with coldness. What was there to fear from the two immortal sect? Hiss. All the disciples of the immortal sects around sucked in a breath of cold air. Even if they were not fighting together, this tit-for-tat aura still caused everyone's scalps to go numb and their hearts to be filled with fear. This Dragon King is indeed the same as what was recorded in the information. The two supreme elders of the Shen Yuan clan and the Yuan clan looked at each other. All the other immortal gods shook their heads slightly, which was exactly the same as what was recorded in the information. No matter who the Dragon King of the Dragon Gate was, as long as he provoked him, he would never lower his head. Many people were still very afraid of such a force. However, the two immortal sects, Holy Medicine and Holy Doctor, were not among them. All the immortal gods were filled with fear, even fear, towards these two immortal sects that were closely related to each other. Even the Shen Yuan clan didn't dare to say that they didn't take them seriously. The combined strength of these two immortal sects was definitely much more terrifying than on the surface. Xu Yuanjia of the True Martial Immortal Academy. The atmosphere was silent for a while. Then, a disciple of the True Martial Immortal Academy moved his body and flew directly onto the arena. He cupped his hands towards the surroundings and then stared coldly at the Strange Thorn clan. Does anyone from the Strange Thorn tribe dare to fight with me? I hope that you won't be afraid. There is a conflict between the True Martial Immortal Academy and the Strange Thorn tribe. When they first appeared in this world, there was a conflict between them, which led to a battle between immortals. The Dragon Gate and the Holy Medicine Holy Doctor sect have made a start. The real battle is about to begin. The True Martial Immortal Academy and the Strange Thorn tribe had a grudge against each other. The Yongchang Immortal sect and the Ji tribe had a conflict. Furthermore, there was a conflict between the immortal sects in the Yongchang region and the immortal sects in the Jiding region. The life-and-death battle between Wang Xian and the sect leader of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect could be considered to have started. Intense battles began one after another. The entire Heaven's Pride Grand competition was more intense than expected, and it was still brutal. The victorious disciples of the Immortal sect cheered, mocked, and provoked. The defeated Immortal sect could only watch with an embarrassed expression. This is not a Heaven's Pride Grand competition at all, but a game between immortals and gods. On the stage, Sun Lingxiu looked at the battles below and said with a frown, "That's right. Immortals and gods are forbidden to fight. We have to settle our grudges somewhere else." Wang Xian nodded his head. He finally understood that the so-called competition between heaven's favorites was a competition between the immortal sects. At first, he thought of not letting the disciples of the Dragon Gate fight. But now, it seemed like, since they had made a move, they would regret it a lot and let them know the outcome. The competition went on, and the smell of gunpowder gradually subsided. Some disciples of the Immortal Gate who had no grudges went up to fight for the 21 spots. Those who could come out to fight were at least in the infant stage. The disciples of the Dan stage and half-step Dan stage didn't have the information to go up to the stage. It was a true battle between heaven's favorites and the core disciples of the immortal sects. It's almost certain now that the Shenyuan clan has 4 people in the top 21, the Yuan clan has 2, the Wild Beast Immortal sect has 3, and the Holy Medicine Holy Doctor Immortal sect has 4. The powerful immortal sects occupy a lot of places, and many of the weaker immortal sect disciples can't even make it into the top 21. The first place is almost certainly in the hands of these gods. Tomorrow, Long Men will have a life-and-death battle with the Holy Medicine sect. I'm really looking forward to it. As the sun slowly set, the surrounding disciples of the immortal sect whispered to each other. 21 spots were almost certain. In one day's battle, 3 disciples of the immortal sect died in the battle, which could be said to be very intense. Some immortal sects were also full of gunpowder. The battle was very fierce. However, what everyone was looking forward to the most was the life-and-death battle between the Dragon Gate and the Holy Medicine Holy Doctor Immortal sect tomorrow. 21 spots have been created. The final battle will be held in the next 2 days. Today's competition is over. If you have nothing to do, you can go sightseeing in our Shenyuan city. It will still be the same time tomorrow. The Grand Elder of the Shenyuan clan slowly stood up and faced everyone. Let's go. The immortal gods stood up and flew directly toward their respective peaks, while the other disciples followed closely behind. Disciples of the Dragon Gate, don't be a coward. Haha, in the battle tomorrow, I, Hua Gujiang, will lead the disciples of the 2 great immortal sects and kill all of you. At this moment, the disciples of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect laughed loudly and flew away with ease behind the immortal god. Chen-ph, you'll be crying tomorrow. Xiao Yu couldn't help but shout loudly. This is going to be interesting. The Holy Medicine Immortal sect is at a complete advantage now. I reckon that the Dragon Gate is going to be in danger tomorrow. The Holy Medicine sect's Hua Gujiang has personally spoken. Among the young disciples, Hua Gujiang can be ranked in the top 5. On the other hand, the Dragon Gate doesn't have a single one. The winner will be decided immediately. When the surrounding disciples saw this scene, they whispered among themselves. Hua Gujiang? Chen-ph, he's really courting death. Xiao Yu alone can wipe out all the elite disciples of their two great immortal sect. At the Yellow Heaven immortal sect's position, Feng Lingtian saw this scene and said disdainfully. Ling Xiao, who was at the side, nodded slowly and then frowned. Between disciples, a single little feather can crush all the disciples of the Holy Medicine, and Immortal sect, but the Dragon Gate is still much weaker in terms of combat power at the Immortal God level. There might be huge trouble in the future. Chapter 778, Conflict. The first day of the Prodigy tournament ended, and this tournament caused a huge commotion in the pugilistic world. The Pugilistic World website specially opened up a section for this tournament to be discussed by everyone. And after the first day ended, the entire discussion section was in an uproar. Especially now that the number of Pugilistic World martial artists had reached over 100 million, hundreds of posts were being sent out every second. The disputes between the several great immortal sects were also going on here. The immortal sects that didn't have a good relationship with each other were attacking each other. The disciples who entered the top 21 today naturally received the attention of countless martial artists. But what made everyone pay the most attention and shocked today was the agreement between the Dragon King of the Dragon Gate and the Holy Medicine Immortal sect, which caused countless people to talk about it. However, because the Holy Medicine Immortal sect's disciples and family members numbered in the tens of millions, and the Dragon Gate didn't have anyone to support them, the forum of the world of martial arts was full of abuse and contempt for the Dragon Gate. A small Dragon Gate dares to oppose our Holy Medicine Immortal sect. It's simply courting death. Tomorrow, under the leadership of senior brother Hua Gujiang, I'll let you know the consequences of provoking us. A small Dragon Gate Dragon King has only been established for a few years. He doesn't have the slightest foundation. So what if he has a few immortals? Whether it's the number of disciples or the number of immortals, we're completely destroyed. If the immortals could make a move, they would have destroyed this trash Dragon Gate long ago. Haha, the brothers who support the Holy Medicine Immortal sect. This Dragon King is very arrogant. He thinks that he has become an immortal god at such a young age, but he doesn't put his seniors in his eyes. He is arrogant and has a death wish. A small force in the Jianghu dares to go against our orthodox immortal sect. He is simply courting death. It is said that this Dragon Gate doesn't even have ordinary disciples. Hee. Many people mocked the Dragon Gate. Even the immortal god-level Dragon King dared to speak arrogantly on the Jianghu internet. After all, they had no scruples even though they were separated by the internet. Besides the people of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect, the disciples of the other immortal sects didn't think highly of the Dragon Gate. After all, the strength of the Holy Medicine Immortal sects could be considered as the top among the 20 immortal sects. How could the Dragon Gate contend with them? The disciples of the immortal sects didn't think highly of the Dragon Gate when it came to the life and death battle between the disciples of the Dragon Gate and the Holy Medicine Immortal sect tomorrow. Some people even shouted that they would post pictures of the disciples of the Dragon sect being killed tomorrow, attracting the support of many people. Xiao Yu, beautiful lady, Wang Xian, Xiao Yu, Shu Qing, and the rest had just returned to the mountain peak when they heard Feng Lingtian's voice from outside. What are you doing? Xiao Yu heard the voice and walked out of the room with a smile on her face. She looked at Feng Lingtian and shouted loudly. Let's go out and have some fun. Let's go to Shenyuan City. Since we're already here, we should at least have some fun. Feng Lingtian looked up at Xiao Yu and said with a smile. Wait. Xiao Yu shouted and returned to her room. Brothers, sisters-in-law, do you want to go to Shenyuan City to have some fun? How can we be third wheel when there's a handsome guy who wants to date a beauty like Xiao Yu alone? Lan Qingyu looked at her with a big smile on her face and said with a smile. How is that possible? He's so weak. I can fight 10 of him alone. Xiao Yu pouted. Let's go, sisters-in-law. Let's go out and have some fun. Chimem, Xiaoxian, are you going? A few girls were tempted and asked Wang Xian. No, you guys go ahead. There are some things that I need to take care of. Wang Xian shook his head at them. Brother, we'll go out then. I'll bring you some delicious food. Xiao Yu waved her hands at him and walked out happily. Wang Xian smiled and nodded. Go. After the group of girls left, Wang Xian sat on a chair in the middle while Ao Jian stood at the side expressionlessly. Use the galactic stone to contact Prime Minister Gui. Ask him to bring 5 members of the Golden Swordfish clan over tomorrow. The 5 of them must be at the half-step immortal realm. Use some resources to nurture them. Also, send another 15 people at the infant realm. Wang Xian knocked on the table slowly. Also, send 30 people from the strange demon clan over. It's the Dragon King. Ao Jian nodded respectfully. Wang Xian narrowed his eyes slightly. Holy medicine, holy doctor sect, it's best not to provoke me. Otherwise. His eyes sparkled. Otherwise, so what if there was an agreement between the immortals and gods? When one's strength reached a certain level, one could completely ignore the rules. Following that, Wang Xian called Mo Qinglong over and asked about the shop. While Wang Xian was dealing with the matter, Xiao Yu and the girls were strolling around the city of Shenyuan City with Feng Lingtian. Shenyuan City was the city of the 2 immortal sects, the Shenyuan clan and the Yuan clan. It could be considered as the largest ancient city at the moment. There were over 10 million people living in the city. The streets were abnormally bustling with people. That's Feng Lingtian from the Yellow Heaven Immortal sect, the son of the sect leader of the Yellow Heaven Immortal sect. His acceded contestant. I heard that he's extremely powerful and is known as the freakish crown prince by the people from the Yellow Cauldron. That's true. According to the comments on the Jianghu website, Feng Lingtian is at least at the peak of the infant realm, and can be ranked at the top in this competition. Who are the beauties beside him? They are so beautiful. Walking on the streets of Shenyuan City, some of the martial artists in the city saw Feng Lingtian and whispered to him. The heaven's chosen disciples of the 20 immortal sects could be said to be celebrities in the Jianghu. The Jianghu website had detailed information about them and their appearances. Hearing the discussions of the people around him, Feng Lingtian instinctively raised his chest with a hint of arrogance on his face. It was the first time Guan Shuqing, Lan Qingyu, and the other 3 appeared in public, so no one knew who they were. What are you pretending to be arrogant for, little slave? Seeing his expression, Xiao Yu stared at him mockingly. He. Feng Lingtian's face immediately fell. I am now at least a heaven's chosen among all the disciples of the immortal sects. Of course, I cannot be with Xiao Yu, the great beauty. If you participate, what does it have to do with us? Oh right, are you going on stage tomorrow? Feng Lingtian looked at her curiously. No need. My brother will take care of it. Didn't you say that you've read the strategy of Shenyuan City? Hurry up and bring us to eat good food. Xiao Yu urged. Okay. Come with me. I know the most popular restaurant in Shenyuan City. I don't know if there are still seats available. Let's hurry over. As Feng Lingtian spoke, he looked at the 5 beauties beside Xiao Yu and could not help but say, Xiao Yu, your brother really enjoys the blessings of all. Of course, my sister-in-law is very beautiful. But don't think about it. You are the life of a servant. Xiao Yu smiled as if it was a matter of course and raised his head slightly. Behind him, a few girls looked around with smiles on their faces. It was Tang Yinxian and Elder Fan who felt a little unnatural when they heard their conversation. Over there, the God of Cooking restaurant, the hottest restaurant in Shenyuan City. The food there is one of the best in the world. Chapter 779, Under the Conflict of. The God of Cooking restaurant was the best and most famous restaurant in Shenyuan City. The restaurant used powerful beasts and all kinds of spiritual herbs as ingredients. Ever since it appeared in the world, its reputation had spread far and wide. Boss, do you still have any seats here? After entering the God of Cooking restaurant, Feng Lingtian shouted at the waiter inside. What a coincidence, young master. There are still a few tables upstairs. Please come in. The waiter in grey warmly welcomed them and led them upstairs. The The food here smells so good. Xiao Yu sniffed the fragrance around him and said in surprise. The eyes of the other girls also lit up. Beauties loved delicious food the most, especially since they would not gain weight no matter how much they ate. Go objectively. Please come in. The waiter in grey shouted and pointed at a square table inside. The table wasn't small, enough for everyone to sit down. Sisters-in-law, this way please. Feng Lingtian extended his hand with a warm smile on his face. To him, the girls in front of him were real masters. One of them was the sister of the Dragon King, and she tortured him to death. The others were also the Dragon King's women, so they had to be respectful. Good boy. Xiao Yu smiled and walked inside with a smile on his face. This Dragon King of the Dragon Gate is really insolent. He dares to challenge our holy medicine immortal sect. He really brought this upon himself. Fairy Hua, an immortal cannot lose face. Otherwise, the whole world will laugh at him. This Dragon Gate doesn't have any disciples at all. I think it will only add to the laughter when I go on stage tomorrow. I alone can crush all the young disciples of the Dragon Gate. Of course. With your strength, young Master Yuan Yu, I think you will be able to get into the top 10. Haha, although I am not as strong as my brother and a little weaker than Hua Gujiang, I am still very confident in getting into the top 10. Xiana naturally believes in young Master Yuan Yu's strength. Just as they walked over, they suddenly heard a voice from the side. Instantly, everyone frowned and looked to the side. A group of 6 people, 3 young men and 3 women. 2 of them, Xiao Yu and the others recognized them at a glance. The second most outstanding disciple of the Yuan clan, Yu Wenyu, and Fairy Hua of the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect. HMPH, how arrogant. One person crushing a young disciple of the Dragon Gate? Those words are really exaggerated. The battle hasn't even started yet and you guys are already bragging here. How arrogant. Before Xiao Yu and the rest could say anything, Feng Lingtian who was sitting at the side said in disdain, "Heh." The 6 people who were chatting at the side immediately frowned and looked at Feng Lingtian and the rest. As their gazes swept over, Yu Wenyu and Fairy Hua raised their brows. So it's Feng Lingtian from the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect. Watch your words and don't cause trouble for your father. The corners of Yu Wenyu's mouth curled up slightly as she stared at Feng Lingtian and said disdainfully. An immortal sect that only had one middle-level immortal was not in the Yuan clan's eyes. His father was also a middle-level immortal. When Feng Lingtian heard his words, his face turned dark and gloomy. Be careful with your words. I think you should be careful with your words. Pleasing beautiful women isn't like this. Xiao Yu took a step forward and looked at Yu Wenyu coldly. Little girl, this is not trying to please, but telling a fact. Fairy Hua slowly stood up and stared at Xiao Yu coldly. We are just telling a fact. You guys who only know how to brag here, your holy medicine holy doctor immortal sect will know what embarrassment is tomorrow. Xiao Yu snorted coldly and said with slight disdain. Embarrassment? Based on your tiny dragon gate? Fairy Hua raised her head slightly and stared at Xiao Yu. Tiny dragon gate, then should we give it a try? Xiao Yu revealed a trace of a cold smile and stared at her without showing any weakness. Fight. Based on you? Fairy Hua's gaze turned cold. Little girl, you'd better scram home. Haha, interesting. I heard that the top 5 on the Peerless Beauty list all have the strength of the infant realm. I'll let you see the strength of our dragon gate with one hand. Xiao Yu's arm moved, and a bone whip appeared in his hand. His eyes revealed a mocking expression. Don't let me think that you're just a vixen who knows how to seduce men. You're sharp-tongued. I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of your parents. Fairy Hua's expression was a little awkward when she heard Xiao Yu's words. The emerald green bracelet on her wrist moved, and a vine also appeared in her hand. Haha, I'll let you attack first. Otherwise, you won't have a chance to attack. Xiao Yu laughed loudly and said mockingly. You're looking for a beating. See if I won't break your mouth. A trace of murderous intent appeared in Fairy Hua's eyes. She waved her arm, and the vine in her hand directly attacked Xiao Yu. Hey! What's going on? They're actually fighting. That's Fairy Hua. Who's the other girl? She's from the Dragon Gate. That's one of the immortals from the Dragon Gate. Hiss, Yuan Yu from the Yuan clan is also here. On the second floor of the God of Cooking restaurant, there were also some disciples from other immortal sects who came here to eat. When they saw the two girls who suddenly attacked, they were shocked. When Feng Lingtian saw Little Feather attack, he took a step back. When Yuan Yu saw Fairy Hua attack, she also looked at her coldly. Fairy Hua had the strength of the infant realm. How could an unknown little girl deal with her? When the waiter in grey saw this scene, he wiped the cold sweat on his forehead and did not dare to persuade her. This heaven's favorite from the Yuan clan did not stop her. Even his boss did not dare to stop her. Pa. Fairy Hua's cane swung over. A trace of disdain appeared in Xiao Yu's eyes. He waved the cane in his hand lightly and directly welcomed it. Pa. The two long whips collided. However, in an instant, the bone whip suddenly grew longer and directly hit Fairy Hua's face. A heavy sound rang out. In an instant, a long bloody scar appeared on her fair and delicate face. Fairy Hua was instantly stunned. She felt the pain and blood on her face, and her expression changed drastically. Ah, you're courting death. Her expression became a little twisted, and her aura shook violently. The dense wood attribute on her body caused thorns to appear on the wooden floor. Pa. However, at this moment, the bone whip in Little Feather's hand swung out once again. Fairy Hua's expression changed drastically, and a wooden shield instantly appeared in front of her. However, the wooden shield was directly broken, and the bone whip once again landed on her beautiful face. This time, Xiao Yu did not stop. The bone whip in his hand grew longer and directly wrapped around her entire body. Bang! She pulled heavily, and Fairy Hua instantly fell in front of her. High and mighty Fairy Hua? How about this little girl from a small dragon sect? Xiao Yu stared at the Fairy Hua lying in front of her mockingly and asked with a smile. I'll kill you. Chapter 780, fearlessly charged forward. I'm going to kill you. A sharp voice came from Fairy Hua's mouth on the second floor of the God of Cooking tower. Her face was full of blood marks. Her body was tied up by the bone whip, and she was lying on the ground in an unusual sorry state. She was the dignified Fairy Hua, the fourth most beautiful woman in the world. She was the goddess in the hearts of thousands of martial artists. Now, she was lying in front of a little girl. If the martial artists in the pugilistic world knew about this, she, Fairy Hua, would become a laughingstock. Today, she would become the biggest stain in her life. No, when she saw a martial artist take out his cell phone to take a photo, this matter would definitely be spread out. This made her heart surge with endless killing intent. Kill me. With just you. Xiao Yu stared at Fairy Hua coldly, the bone whip in her hand pointed at her. This. The surrounding disciples of the immortal sect looked at this scene in astonishment. Fairy Hua had mocked the Dragon Gate, but in the end, she was easily defeated by a girl from the Dragon Gate. Moreover, at this moment, she was lying on the ground, her hair disheveled, and her face was full of bloody scars. The ferocious-looking Fairy Hua was not as beautiful and noble as she usually was, she was like a fairy. You're courting death. Stop. Yuan Yu, who was standing at the side, moved her arm and an earthy yellow spear appeared in her hand. She pointed it at little Yu with a cold face. Yuan Yu, this is the grudge between our Dragon Gate and the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect. Do you want to make a move? Guan Shuqing and the other girls saw Yuan Yu taking out her weapon and asked coldly. I don't give a damn about your Dragon Gate. Stop right now. Yuan Yu shouted at them. In an instant, everyone's expression changed. You can represent your Yuan clan. Little Yu's expression also turned cold as he asked Yuan Yu coldly. I told you to stop. Little girl, whether I can represent or not, I will teach you a good lesson today. Yuan Yu's expression was dark and cold. The long spear in her hand carried a murderous aura as it stabbed towards Little Feather. All right, then I don't care whether you can represent me or not. Little Feather's expression did not change. The bone whip in his hand instantly split into more than 10 poisonous snakes that instantly shot towards Yuan Yu. Chimpate. Yuan Yu's face was ice cold as she shook her arm. Earth spikes instantly appeared on the earthen yellow long spear and stabbed towards Little Feather. Boom! Xiao Yu swung his bone whip and the earthen spear collapsed. What? Yuan Yu's face changed and a look of shock appeared in her eyes. You said that you could crush all the young disciples of our Dragon Gate by yourself. Initially, I didn't want to argue with you because you are from the Yuan clan. Did you really think that our Dragon Gate is afraid of you? Xiao Yu's face was cold. Just now, Yuan Yu had arrogantly said that she alone could suppress all the disciples of the Dragon Gate. Now, she actually dared to arrogantly say that she didn't care about the Dragon Gate. This made Xiao Yu slightly angry. A fellow who hadn't even reached the half-step immortal god realm still dared to be so arrogant. Peng peng peng. The bone whip in Xiao Yu's hand was like a bone dragon's tentacle, directly attacking towards Yuan Yu. Yuan Yu's expression instantly changed. The long spear in her arm shook and an indestructible earth wall appeared. Crack crack. However, the difference in strength was too big after all. The bone whip directly pierced through and heavily swung towards Yuan Yu's face. Bang! The powerful force caused the handsome Yuan Yu to instantly fly towards the window. Little Feather did not stop and swung the bone whip once again. Yuan Yu's face was filled with shock. A shield that emitted light and traces of an array instantly appeared on the necklace on her chest. Little Feather's bone whip landed on the shield, causing it to not move at all. She frowned and the bone whip in her hand merged into one as she heavily attacked the shield. It did not move at all. Under the terrifying defense, it still did not move at all. This should be the Yuan clan's defensive array. A defensive array that can withstand an immortal god's attack is very precious. Guan Shuqing looked at the indestructible shield and said to Xiao Yu, "So it's a turtle shell made by an immortal god. Trash. Now, it's still hiding in this turtle shell and not daring to come out." Xiao Yu looked at Yuan Yu with disdain and said, "Someone like you? You still have the face to say that you can crush all the disciples of our Dragon Gate? You're quite good at bragging. Hee, a heaven's pride." Yuan Yu's body trembled violently, and his expression was extremely unsightly. Looking at the surrounding disciples of the Immortal Gate looking at him, he had no place to be ashamed. He never would have thought that such a young girl would be able to defeat him so easily. After all, he had the strength of the peak of the infant realm. Looking at Yuan Yu's disdainful expression, he clenched his teeth tightly. He was defeated by a girl, and would end up like Fairy Hua, becoming a laughingstock. A heaven's pride that only knew how to boast. This caused his eyes to be filled with bloodshot, and he wished for nothing more than to cut Little Feather into 1,000 pieces. "Just you wait, I won't let you off." Yuan Yu's eyes revealed a crazed killing intent, and she stared at Little Feather with bloodthirsty eyes. "Wait. You dare to say such vicious words just because you're hiding in a turtle shell? I thought the Yuan clan was so strong, but I didn't expect the Yuan clan to have such a useless existence." Little Yu stared at Yuan Yu without the slightest bit of fear. "You." When Yuan Yu heard this, she almost vomited blood. He had just said that he could crush everyone in the Dragon Gate, but in the end, he was instantly slapped in the face by a girl from the Dragon Gate. This made him feel his entire body burn. If he continued to argue with this girl, then he, Yuan Yu, would lose even more face. "I, Yuan Yu, will remember what happened today. Very soon, I will make you pay a heavy price for what happened today." Yuan Yu's blood-red eyes stared at little Yu. With an embarrassed expression, she walked to Fairy Hua's side and helped her up. Just you wait. Tomorrow will be your doomsday." Fairy Hua was so angry that she almost went mad. Her chest kept rising and falling as she shouted at little Yu. "Then we'll see tomorrow." Little Yu raised his head slightly and looked coldly at Fairy Hua and Yuan Yu, who were in a sorry state. "Go." The two of them walked out gloomily. The 4 men and women who were at a loss hurriedly followed them. What a killjoy. Little Yu watched them leave and said impatiently, "Xiao Yu, you beat up the current prodigy of the Yuan clan. Will the Yuan clan? Do you want to tell your brother?" Feng Lingtian frowned and said worriedly, "Don't worry. This is already giving the Yuan clan face." Guan Shuqing said with a twinkle in her eyes, "That's right. If the Yuan clan doesn't discipline their own disciples, then we will help them discipline them. Lan Qingyu echoed from the side. Just now, Yuan Yu had slandered the Dragon Gate. If it wasn't for little Yu, they would have taken action. As for the price, that would depend on how the Yuan clan would react. Even if it was a reaction, they would be able to accept it. Bring it back and eat it. Guan Shuqing hesitated for a moment and said. A few girls nodded in agreement. Around them, a group of Immortal Sect disciples looked on in astonishment. Things seemed to be getting bigger. Chapter 781 was fearless. A girl from the Dragon Gate defeated Fairy Hua and Yuan Yu in the God of Cooking restaurant. Fairy Hua was humiliated and Yuan Yu was defeated. The one who made the move was a girl from the Dragon Gate. The pathetic beauty Fairy Hua and the heaven's favorite Yuan Yu were easily defeated by a girl from the Dragon Gate. Fairy Hua and Yuan Yu claimed that the disciples of the Dragon Gate were trash. In the end, they were severely humiliated by a girl from the Dragon Gate. A girl from the Dragon Gate humiliated Yuan Yu. Could it be that the Dragon Gate is going to make an enemy out of the Yuan clan? The Dragon Gate has brought this upon themselves. First, they made an enemy out of the Holy Medicine Holy Doctor, and now they are provoking the Yuan clan. On the first day of the grand competition, while the Jianghu was still discussing the matter of the Dragon Gate making an enemy out of the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect, another explosive news suddenly appeared on the internet. On the Jianghu internet, not only were there posts, there were also several pictures of Fairy Hua and Yuan Yu in a sorry state. Especially Fairy Hua, her face was covered in blood and she was lying on the ground, not having the grace of a fairy at all. Looking at the pictures and the posts, everyone had shocked expressions on their faces. This Fairy Hua was too miserable and Yuan Yu was also in a sorry state. However, seeing the miserable state of the two, many people were shocked. A girl from the Dragon Gate could easily defeat Fairy Hua and Yuan Yu. Fairy Hua was in the infant realm and might not be very strong among the infant realm, but Yuan Yu was a heaven's favorite who entered the finals today. And with his strength, he was basically on the 21st heaven's favorite list. In the end, he was actually defeated by an unknown girl from the Dragon Gate. Moreover, she didn't even have the strength to resist. This caused everyone to be extremely shocked. This face-smacking is too miserable. In the God of Cooking restaurant, they said that the Dragon Gate was inferior to them. Yuan Yu even said that she alone could crush all the young disciples of the Dragon Gate. In the end, she was instantly smacked in the face. Fairy Hua was in a sorry state. Yuan Yu was smacked in the face like this. Will the Yuan clan react? Will they become enemies with the Dragon Gate? That girl is the sister of the Dragon King. Her strength is very terrifying. She is at least at the half-step immortal god level. Following that, 3 replies that were more popular were pushed up. The miserable Fairy Hua and Yuan Yu. Will the Yuan clan stand up for Yuan Yu, the younger sister of the Dragon King? This incident made the Heaven's Pride competition even more interesting. And the battle tomorrow was even more exciting. Brother, that pair of bastards Yuan Yu and Fairy Hua are really annoying. On the guest reception peak of the Shenyuan clan, Wang Xian and Xiao Yu were sitting in front of a table. Xiao Yu said to him angrily, "You Wenyu." Wang Xian smiled. "If they don't offend me, we won't offend them. If they offend us, don't hold back. They still dare to spout such arrogant words. I alone can teach them a lesson. If the people from the Yu Wen clan dare to cause trouble, I will teach them a good lesson in the Heaven's Pride competition tomorrow." Xiao Yu pouted and said unhappily, "There's no need for you to do anything. The Golden Swordfish clan will be here tomorrow. Let's eat. All of you can enjoy yourselves here." Wang Xian smiled. He wasn't too concerned about the matter with Yuan Yu. Night fell very quickly. The Jianghu internet was still bustling with activity as they discussed what happened today. When the bell rang the next day, one by one, the immortal sects flew towards the arena. Wang Xian, Guan Shuqing, and the rest of the members of the Dragon Gate also flew towards the spectator stand. When they arrived, they instantly felt the gazes of the crowd. The group of immortal sect disciples stared at the members of the Dragon Gate with curiosity as they swept their gaze over Xiao Yu. The fact that Xiao Yu defeated Yu Wenyu yesterday shocked many people. Many people guessed that the person who went up to the arena to duel with the Holy Medicine Holy Doctor Immortal sect was most likely the girl from yesterday. Because it seemed that only that girl in the Dragon Gate had the strength to do so. Brother, it's that girl, it's her. At this moment, in front of the Yuan clan's platform, Yu Wenyu's face was filled with anger as she looked at little Yu in the distance. She gritted her teeth and said, "You can't even defeat a girl. You were forced to use up the defensive array that father spent a lot of money to build for us. You're really embarrassing." Beside Yu Wenyu, a thin youth coldly glanced at his younger brother. She's very strong, Yu Wenyu lowered her head with an embarrassed expression, her clenched fists filled with fury. "All right, since she dared to hurt you, I'll naturally teach her a good lesson. Don't say that you're my younger brother, but if you dare not give face to my Yuan clan, I'll let everyone know the consequences." As the thin and weak youth spoke, a trace of coldness flashed in his eyes. Their words were not concealed at all, and the few immortal gods from the Yuan clan heard them. Especially a middle-aged immortal god. He glanced at them indifferently and did not say anything, with a smile on his face. Regarding the fact that the second most outstanding disciple of the immortal sect was defeated by the girl from the Dragon Gate last night, they were not the least bit affected. They would not order their disciples to make a move, nor would they stop them from doing so. Everything would be settled by the disciples of the immortal sect themselves. However, they were very supportive of the disciples of the immortal sect taking revenge. As the top existence of the 20 immortal sects, the disciples of the immortal sect should have been able to get back at them for humiliating them. No matter who the other party was, this was the dominance of their Yuan clan. The Holy Medicine Immortal sect was not afraid of the Dragon Gate, and they were even more fearless. One by one, the immortal sects arrived, and the 22 platforms filled with itinerant cultivators. The immortal gods of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect and the sect masters of the two immortal sects slowly stood up and looked coldly in the direction of the Dragon Gate. Holy Medicine Immortal sect, disciples of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect, step forward. It's the sect master. In an instant, 10 youths of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect stood in front. Hua Gujiang was in the center. The 10 elite disciples of the two great immortal sects had the lowest strength of the infant realm. They raised their heads and looked in the direction of the Dragon Gate. Their eyes were filled with provocation and fighting spirit. Disciples of the Dragon Gate, come out and fight. Today, our Holy Medicine Immortal sect will kill all the elite disciples of your Dragon Gate. Come out and die. Hua Gujiang waved his arm and a 2-meter-long dark green staff appeared in his hand. He pointed it directly in the direction of the Dragon Gate. It was extremely domineering. 2 minutes. Ao Jian sat beside Wang Xian. He looked into the distance and said faintly, "Then, before that, let me do it first." Just as Wang Xian finished his words, a thin voice flew down from the Yuan clan's platform. He landed on the stage in the middle. The ground was slightly distorted under the control of the earth elemental energy. He turned his head and stared at Xiao Yu coldly. There was no expression on his face. "How dare you insult my younger brother? You don't put the Yuan clan in your eyes. Come down. I want you to kneel down and apologize. Otherwise, you will die."